21st, 7 a.m. right here on Jocks 94.5. We'll talk some Alabama football today, talk some college basketball today, get you set for the weekend. It was a rough one last night, Greg, and I'm assuming that you tuned in to the Four Nations face-off as America goes down to Canada in overtime. Dramatic game, dramatic fashion. Fun watch last night.
It was a really fun watch. Loved the beginning of it. The build-up, the Herb Brooks speech from Miracle.
So they did that pregame also?
They did.
I saw it going into overtime, and it was going to.
Oh, they did going into overtime too?
Yeah, because I didn't see the beginning.
Yeah, I was in the middle of.
It was really cool.
I was getting a shower right before overtime, hustling, trying to get ready because I thought it might end and go to bed or whatever. But either way, didn't see it there, but did see it at the beginning, and it was awesome. Really, really awesome. So really enjoyed the game. Hated the result, obviously, with Canada winning off the stick of Connor McDavid, the world's best player, fittingly enough. The last time these two met in a championship game, it was Sidney Crosby, at the time the world's best player, who gave Canada a 3-2 win, just like McDavid gave Canada last night. So very strange, the deja vu that was felt last night by American hockey fans, but such is life. It was a great event. I hope more people watched hockey as a result, and I feel like it accomplished the goal of growing the game.
I don't think there's any doubt about that. How old is Sidney Crosby?
35?
37.
Yeah.
I can remember.
You remember that in the Olympics?
No, my dad is a Penguins fan, and so I can remember him telling me about sort of the torch being passed from Mario Lemieux to Sidney Crosby, and all the things that he said about Lemieux, he was saying about Sidney Crosby. I'm like, all right, you're going to get the same guy again? Like, it can't be that good again. And he ended up being pretty good. So I felt like that was a long time ago that we were having those conversations. And it seems like he's still playing at a pretty high level. Obviously, like you said, not Connor McDavid, but there is absolutely zero doubt in my mind that this was great for hockey. And I don't know what the actual numbers will be when you talk about growing the game or being better for the game, but the amount of random people that I know that I saw last night via social media, which unfortunately I did creep back onto, that said they were watching hockey for the first time or tuning into this for the first time and wanting to see what it was about. It has to be great. And it's just, you wonder what examples of this can other sports take. You brought up the NBA All-Star game, USA versus the world, which I think would be really cool. And I think people would be interested in it. For a lot of reasons. I don't know what the NFL could take from it. They're obviously trying to play more games in more places, but from a competitive standpoint, going against different countries, that's not going to be a real thing. But this is something that was an absolutely brilliant move by hockey. And a lot of these pro sports leagues, Greg, we've been hard on the last few years for making some really dumb moves. This one was brilliant.
Well, I think it's time and place too. I mean, if you did this Four Nations event a year ago, how well received would it have been? Like, not to get political, but like, we're at a time in our country where relationship with Canada is at a little bit of a crossroads. Like, we're in a spot where there's a very polarizing thing going on in our country, that is Donald Trump being elected president, and there's an increased presence of outspoken patriotism. I think there's a presence of that, and I think that as a result, first opportunity we got to gravitate towards the red, white, and blue, I think people took advantage of that. And I think also the way that the American flag was disrespected, the way the national anthem was booed at the game in Montreal only invigorated that sense of purpose even more. So I think it was time and place for sure. But I also think too, right now, the game of hockey is uniquely strong with American players. I mean, it has not been this strong in a long. I've been watching hockey my whole life. I grew up in a hockey locker room. Like, that is my earliest memories of sports is centered around hockey, and then baseball, and then football, in that order. And we have really lacked great American players for a long time. So I think it was an opportunity for the United States to kind of display, hey, we do have some of the best in the world that are playing on our team. Yes, while Canada has maybe the best player or maybe two of the top four best players, what have you, we're right there. And in an era where people are kind of gravitating towards anything that's not the NBA, anything that's not Major League Baseball at times because it's just tough to consume. I think hockey's got an opportunity to maybe increase its popularity here in the next couple of years.
It's very fair. Are you trying to say that this was rigged? Is that where you're going?
Come again?
This was rigged because people knew that USA and Canada were on uneven footing right now, and so they pushed them into the final? Is that what you're trying to say?
No, I'm suggesting that
the envelope was frozen?
I think it was the right time and the right place for the opportunity to seize some viewership that I'm not sure how many people last night watched hockey for the first time?
I feel like a fair amount.
I feel like
a decent amount of people did.
I agree.
And like I said, who knows what the carryover will be from that? If you're going to go find, the Las Vegas Golden Knights and watch them Tuesday, I have no idea. But
let's not get carried away.
Pick the Rangers or the Penguins if you're going to pick one. But
playoffs, I think people when the playoffs roll around, they're like, I'll take a peek at this. As opposed to
and the good news is you could take a peek in 1 month and 3 months later take a peek again and it'll still be going on.
Yeah,
so
exactly.
You got a lot of opportunity there. It'd be really easy for you. But
how did you feel about the goal song for Team USA? I know you love the goal song of the Rangers.
What was it? I don't recall. I mean, I had it on last night. I wasn't completely dialed in. Freebird?
Yes.
I'm fine with that. I'm good with it.
Yeah.
It didn't hit me last night listening to it, though. So obviously it didn't get the people going the way that the Rangers goal song does, which is
it got
the greatest goal
going.
song in hockey history.
After the goal.
Outside of just hitting a tugboat horn for about 28 seconds straight.
Well, that's just hockey. That's the way every single, I feel like every single one. But this is after they knotted up at 1 here in Boston. Right there. Get some.
What
just America.
Honestly, that feels kind of weak.
What?
I'm not saying I don't like the song, but like
it doesn't feel like.
But it's America.
You just. Well, I got.
If you guys don't like America, it's fine. Just admit it. It's cool. Like it's up to you. You can either like Freebird or dislike America.
Well, I would.
There's no in between.
I would introduce you to one of the greatest celebrations of Americana on a regular basis in our world's history that easily could have been shared via song.
Chili cook-offs?
And an individual who represented nothing more but the red, white, and blue and yellow. And honestly is responsible for bringing real patriotism back to our country, I believe.
Lee Greenwood?
For a short period of time.
Who's the guy
just
that
go
sings
listen
Proud to be an American?
Just go listen to any 1980s Hulk Hogan entrance, which I'm a real American, and tell me that wouldn't be better there. I don't think anybody rallied the red, white, and blue.
But he also went to the
yellow,
dark side,
the
brother.
way that Hogan did.
He also
we're not asking for the NWO music.
He also fought Andre the Giant, brother.
And he didn't know who was going to win that match going in, apparently.
I mean,
tell me you play this after a goal and come on. Compared to Freebird?
It's a little too much.
It's not too much.
It's a little too much in your face.
It's not.
Yeah, that's American.
It needs to be in your face.
Yeah.
You know what?
Even though it was in our face last night, but it needs to be in your face.
Vince asked me last night about baseball walkout songs. We might have just found one.
Well,
we might have just found one. Hey,
yeah, I'd take the path of Kenny Powers.
It's a little better than Still Dre. That's what I walked out to. But I don't know if you want to play that one.
Anybody's path in baseball you want to follow would be Kenny Powers. That would be the one that you want to mirror.
Did he walk out to this
when he was playing in the Mexican League later? Yeah, he came out of the bullpen to this.
You know what? We're gonna do that. We're gonna go with this.
With the fireworks. This is so good. You got to have the headband on with the back of the headband in your mouth, gritting your teeth on your way to at bat, though. If you don't do that, you're not American. And then get up there and tell the pitcher that you feel sorry for him, that he didn't take his vitamins, say his prayers.
You know, we might
call your shot and then hit it to the stands.
I got a suggestion for you for your walkout. John's pulling it up right now, but I think this makes sense. Like, you need to go straight at the ballpark, just ultimate heel, the biggest heel ever, and just walk out to the ballpark prepared for kid. Actually, you know what? You need to walk out song as the coach pitch.
If I was saying that to,
that's what I'm gonna do.
If I was saying that to my team, that would be rough.
I think if I'm now doing coach pitch, I'm not pitching. Thank goodness.
If I was pitching to my team and came out with this, we would have real problems.
No, that's what I would do. That's the whole thing. You need the kids to know they got no chance. No chance.
Feels like it's bad for the confidence. But hey, we'll see.
Why don't pitchers walk out to this?
Probably because they know the next guy would end up going yard.
But it's so funny.
How many dominant pitchers are there on planet Earth right now? 4?
Kershaw.
One. That's actually, he's like leap year. He's dominant once every 7 years.
Okay, so first of all, that's not leap year.
Whatever the hell.
I think it's every 4 years, but I'm gonna double check my math. Yep, that's right. Every 4 years, and only in Olympic years.
There you go.
Speaking of which, next year is a winter one, and ice hockey's in that. So I feel kind of bad for Four Nations.
Yeah.
So if they're coming back, it's like, well, hold on.
I think the Four Nations is like Ryder Cup, Presidents Cup. I think Four Nations is a year from now. Will be the alternate years.
27.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, one other thing about the hockey last night.
Who is in control of this? The NHL?
Yes.
Okay.
Complete control.
That's actually surprising.
Why? Because you expected them to mess it up.
How many times have they almost completely run their league into non-existence?
Well, their television partners have something to do with that. It's just the sheer quantity of consumption on some of their television. Like, I'm sorry, I'm not going to NBC Sports to watch NHL hockey studio shows. Like, just not. I'm not right between the Tour de France rerun and the the skydiving world championship. Like, I'm not watching.
How would
that.
you even know it was a rerun of the Tour de France? Because, how would you know the difference? It wasn't live.
Because
no one really knows.
Because Lance Armstrong won.
But it could just be happening then. You would have no idea.
Could be, but Sheryl Crow was riding on the back of the bike with him.
Come on.
Not really. I mean, I have no idea. And you know what was funny? He was actually riding in on the Hulk Hogan theme song.
He had no chance of testing positive either, apparently.
Is it bad that I think Vince McMahon's walkout song might be my favorite?
It's really good.
In all the WWE.
It's
Cody
great.
Rhodes is probably number 2, but I think Vince McMahon's might be number 1.
It's just one of the
It's
most
so perfect.
It's one of the most appropriate.
It's so perfect.
It's got the little slow crank up that kind of gets everybody excited and gets you going. Gives everybody a minute. I want to
go arm flailing walk. Ugh.
I want to go back to like truly dominant pitchers. How many of those do you think we have right now? Consistently dominant. Not last year, but consistently, which I guess that would remove Paul Skeens.
Yeah,
but he would probably be in the mix. I mean, Garrett Cole.
Still?
Zach Wheeler. Garrett Cole had a pretty good year last year. Wasn't his fault they couldn't hit when he took the mound.
Chris Sale?
Sale had a good year last year, but has he been dominant for multiple years in a row?
He's been pretty solid. Blake Snell?
Been good.
Been good for a while. Zach Wheeler?
Has been good. I don't know if I would say dominant. It's just it's an interesting thought.
Wheeler's good.
How many are truly dominant and have been? I mean, it's a rhetorical question. I don't really know the answer of it. I think there are a couple of young closers that look like they could end up being dominant.
Some of the tough things about baseball now, though, is like it's hard for the guys to get wins.
Yeah,
like look at Chris Sale.
Chris Sale is a shoebox.
Chris Sale is 18-3.
And was really good last year.
He
was dominant last year. Yeah. But I feel like we used to have runs of 8-9 years
Sonny Gray's been good
dominance.
for a while.
Dominant. This is like our Hall of Fame conversation, which it's two different perspectives of dominant.
Yeah.
But it feels like it's gotten very difficult for pitchers in general just to be dominant because it's a lot of offensive lean, which is the way MLB wants it, and they know that that's what's going to get people to the park. So you can't necessarily blame them.
Corbin Burns?
That. Not dominant, no. I wouldn't say that. You would?
No. I mean, I'm just trying to think of guys that had good years last year.
Yeah. Still some cold weather hanging around. Just walk outside today in Birmingham. You'll see that. Schedule your system checkup now from a Trane comfort specialist. Trane has been recognized 10 consecutive years as America's most trusted HVAC brand and our exclusive home comfort partners here at Jocks. Visit Trane.com to find a comfort specialist near you. When we come back, the NFL draft is right around the corner and business beginning to pick up as far as covering it and asking questions about it. I have a question that I want to ask Greg about it. We'll do it right after this on McElroy and Cubelic in the morning. I want to try to squeeze in a little NFL draft talk here on Friday, February 21st, 7:19 a.m. Jocks 94.5. Watch live on YouTube. Search Jocks 945. You can download the app in your app store, iPhone, Android, for free. Listen to the podcast, listen to the show live, and find the link to watch the show live as well. Florida's going to move Russ Callaway to offensive coordinator. Not that it matters because Billy Napier will still call plays. So a cool title for a member of the Florida staff moving forward, I guess. USC did confirm yesterday, Greg, that they will not have a traditional spring game, yet they will have some sort of a spring festival. Ryan Abraham, who covers USC, confirmed Antonio Morales' story that we discussed yesterday. No traditional spring game. There will be an event for families, recruits, and former players, and a fan appreciation event during fall camp. So they got that going for them.
Love the old fan appreciation days.
I feel like most schools already have that.
Yes.
Where you can come and...
But you get, in their fan appreciation day, you can play O-line.
That'd be good. Get them out there, let them rip. See how it works. Yeah, just see how it works. Go for it.
That would be a little dicey.
I did appreciate, though, seeing our friend, the new head coach at App State, announced yesterday they're going full steam ahead with the spring game. They're in it. It's happening. They're going spring game. They're inviting you to come watch, come be a part of it. So
I think it's going to be a very polarizing topic with the spring game thing, by the way. So I can see both sides. Like, one, it's good for our fans. It's good to have that relationship in the NIL era for the fans to be able to go and watch a game. I think that's good for the relationship with the fans. I'm not talking about the mega donors. I'm talking about the fans that might not necessarily be able to afford to go and spend money at games in the fall because they get priced out. I think the spring game is a good opportunity for them to still. You don't have to have deep pockets to be a fan of the Tide or the Tigers or the Longhorns or whatever it may be. I think the spring game serves as that opportunity. So I hope we don't. I hope common sense overrides the paranoia, but I don't think it will.
I don't think it will in a lot of cases. I think some are just going to say we're going to do it because they know, like you said, for the fans, maybe for recruits, it's going to be a good thing. Like Dow Loggins shared a graphic yesterday, Battle at the Rock, 10 a.m. pregame fan fest on April the 12th, 1 o'clock kickoff. You can register to win free tickets. They're going to have a DJ, bounce houses around the stadium. So that's kind of what you're talking about right there.
Yes.
Make it for the family. Don't make it expensive. Come in. You can watch a little bit of football, see some of your favorite players for a minute or two, see some of the younger guys, and then maybe go get an autograph or a picture or, do your other stuff. And let's be real. A lot of us just want to go back to our college towns. We just want an excuse to go back.
Yes.
And some folks who maybe can't get to a lot of games want a chance to go be able to see their team practice, do some things, have some activities. And to remove that, I think is it. Like the USC thing, I'd be interested to even see what that is going to be. It doesn't even sound like it's going to be for fans. Just for okay, mom and dad get to come watch me practice and I get to see me get yelled at. What good is that? I don't need that. Like if you're making it for the fans, that's great. But, I don't need my aunts and uncles coming to watch me get cussed out at practice. What's the point? I'll pass on that.
You sure?
Yes, I'm out. But
I think it'd be healthy for my parents to see me getting yelled at.
Yeah, it's just it's like you said, it's going to be very intriguing to see where this goes.
For sure.
Because some folks are going to say, we don't care. We want to take care of our fans. And the coaches are not going to be uber paranoid. And the others are going to say, last thing we need is somebody seeing the second string tight end who hasn't broken out yet.
No. And honestly, I don't know how you feel about it. Like I'm pretty bullish on the possibilities of, you can think through a new normal of spring games. And look, it's going to be televised. I think it's an opportunity to put some things on tape that maybe you want some people chasing some ghosts in the fall. Put that on tape. Like you can have, I don't like the spring, let's do a slam dunk contest in the middle of the field. We don't need to have that. But guys, we're already lacking for reps anyways. Like the quality of play is good. It is. Like I like the quality of play that we have in college football, but I think we need more practices. I mean, I think guys need to be padded practices more. We don't need to do less. So that is of concern for me as well.
It should be. The development at so many positions is lacking and just flat not there. I feel like you could easily hold out the couple of players that you would be concerned about. But like I told you yesterday when we discussed this too, I do think there are going to be certain coaches that say, oh, so-and-so is holding you back. Come here. We'll give you every platform possible to succeed. And you know what? If you show out and we don't want to take care of you the way somebody else does, that's our fault.
Yeah.
Come have at it. And then too, you just wonder, like, what are the sheer numbers of guys who showed up out of nowhere in a spring game, caught 8 passes for 136 yards, or had 5 tackles for loss, and all of a sudden their agent's calling them saying, guess what? The portal's ready. Your spring game performance has put you on the map. Let's triple our money.
Yeah.
How real is that? I don't know. Maybe a couple guys, but is there a ton of guys running around saying, man, just make sure you take advantage of that spring game because that's where I got all my offers from.
Let me put one other thing on your table here. What if we just got rid of the portal window in May?
That'd be nice.
What if that just went away? Poof. See ya. So you can just have a spring game. You can be developed, but guess what? You're locked in.
Oh, Greg, you're also holding kids back from opportunities, and
are you?
You're not being fair, and
well,
you're holding them against their will.
Totally. So I just feel so
removing
bad
freedom
for these
from the college football players.
Feel so bad for these college football players. Just the not having to pay your for anything and making tons of money and eating for free, getting free clothes, driving nice cars. It's a tough life, man.
It's
brutal.
It is. You wonder how they get through it sometimes. You really do. I did say that I wanted to talk NFL draft. We'll do that on the other side. A question that I have that I feel like might not be extremely easy to answer because I feel like there are going to be a couple of candidates that could fall into this. If you're a candidate for some sort of orthopedic procedure, it needs to be Andrews Sports Medicine. There's a reason Auburn Athletics hand-selected Andrews Sports Medicine's Dr. Benton Emblem and Dr. Charles Pitts to serve as their team physicians. They provide the highest quality of sports medicine care in an effort to keep the Crimson Tide student-athletes safe, healthy, and compete. I just say Crimson Tide. To keep the Auburn student-athletes safe, healthy, and competing at the highest level. If Andrews Sports Medicine is a choice for Auburn Athletics, there's no doubt they should be your family's number one choice for sports medicine and orthopedic care. Andrews Sports Medicine has 7 locations across central Alabama from Birmingham, Coleman, Gardendale, Hoover, Pelham, and Trussville. They offer same-day, next-day appointments for acute sports injuries. Visit AndrewSportsMedicine.com. They've worked on me. They can work on you. They've worked on my wife. They can work on you. Begin your journey to achieving victory over injury today at Andrews Sports Medicine. All right, we'll talk NFL draft for just a moment when we come back next on McElroy and Cubelic in the morning. Friday, February 21st, McElroy and Cubelic in the morning, 7:30 a.m. right here on Jocks 94.5. Glad you're with us. 800-239-9569. You want to get in? A couple of you chiming in via Twitter. I'm going to get to those maybe in the next segment, maybe after we visit with John Hinian at 8 o'clock and talk some Crimson Tide football documentaries. But I want to ask this question about the draft first because I've teased it twice now. I don't think we'll get to it otherwise. Would it be an easy answer for you, Greg, if I asked you, and some context will be a part of this answer. I realize that, and folks need to understand that as well. Very plain and simply stated, though, who's the best player in this draft?
Best football player or best prospect?
Who is the best player in this draft?
The best football player is Travis Hunter.
Because I saw this question stated yesterday, and I had the same thought that you did of, okay, who's my team going to benefit from the most? Who has the best chance to have the best career? Or who's just the best overall football player? And I would be with you. It was Travis Hunter or Tyler Warren for me.
Yeah, he'd be another one.
One of the two. But then you start, okay, we know good and well it doesn't work that way. The best football player is not always the best fit for said value of that roster spot on an NFL team. So it doesn't always mean that that player is going to be drafted number one overall. How many Heisman Trophy winners have been drafted first? Not a ton. So
a decent, more than you might think, but not a ridiculous amount. Yeah.
I mean, just on the surface, you would say, well, that happens a lot of years, but not as many as you would think, if that's just the way that it went. So
I'll give you another one. Ashton Genty.
He's up there.
I can play.
Yeah. I mean, I do think he's a very different running back than what we've seen a lot of other years. But it did just kind of bring some questions of how much should that be valued when you're drafting, of just overall level of playing the sport, as opposed to what you're going to do at the combine, your ability to do one thing well on the field at a certain spot, and then the value that goes into those things. We know edge rusher is going to have more value than D tackle or off the ball linebacker. We know the value of wide receivers has skyrocketed the last 6 to 8 years. We know what quarterback value is. We know tackle is more valuable than center or guard, but sometimes it was an interesting question to me, I thought, because we take away the football playing part at this point in the calendar as we begin to peel back all the layers, break these players down, talk about the fit for these players, the team, the system, the scheme, against who in college, size, arm length, hand size, 40 speed. And it's everything I feel like we do is we strip away ability to play ball. And I use it a lot. I got it from Lance Zierlein when talking about offensive linemen, and people say, so-and-so's, his arms are too short. I'm like, you know what he does, though? He gets guys blocked.
No.
I mean, when I watch him, he blocks people.
Now, in fairness,
Mason Graham, his arm length might be short, but you know what he does? He's in the backfield on a very regular basis. I'll take that on my team, actually.
Well, I think it oftentimes goes the other way. Like, oh, this guy, gosh, he's 6'6", he's got long arms, he's got a good first step, but you know what? He's not very productive. Mykel Williams is an example. Like, I'm not saying he's not a good player.
What did we look at it when we saw it? 7 career sacks, I think.
I think he had 3 this year. I mean, we're talking about a guy that's like just not that much of a difference maker. I'm not saying he doesn't look the part. Like off the bus, yes, Shamar Stewart's the prettiest guy in the draft. How good is he? Like, would you rather have Scorton?
Yes.
Or Shamar Stewart?
Either one.
Yeah. I would take Scorton. Personally.
Yeah, I don't think it's even close.
No. Would you rather have Jalen Walker or Shamar Stewart?
Shamar Stewart, probably.
Okay.
I feel like I can get more use out of him.
Answer me this. Would you rather have Kelvin Banks or Tyler Booker?
Tyler Booker, not even close.
Okay. Well, Kelvin Banks can go 20 spots higher than Tyler Booker.
Zero doubt.
Why? Because the anomalies are tough. Here's the thing about these draft guys. I've come to this conclusion. If they draft a guy that looks the part and doesn't work out, guess who that falls back on? The player. GM says, hey, I want to take Shamar Stewart. He's 6'6", long arms, 285 pounds, out of a big program at Texas A&M. I want to take that guy.
Inside, outside, quickness,
outside,
power,
position
whatever,
versatility. Yes, can two gap inside. Might even be able to gain weight and be a 3 down player on the inside if you want to make him that. It's fine, right? So, which is, by the way, I'm fine with. This is not an indictment on Shamar Stewart, by the way. This is purely looking at it from a NFL GM's perspective. And he's going to say to the owner, who's a multi-billionaire, who doesn't understand football. None of these guys understand football for the most part. None of them played football. You say, oh, Jerry Jones. Jerry Jones played in the 50s. Like, come on. Like, that was a long time ago. They were smoking cigarettes at halftime.
You know what he did, though?
Put his hand in the knee. Yeah.
He didn't put in any damn turf.
No. No. He was pre-AstroTurf.
He was.
All right. Anyways, so the GM goes to his owner, says, I want to take this guy. Can do a lot of different things. Lists off all the positives. It doesn't work out. Guess who gets blamed? Well, Shamar Stewart.
Yeah.
Everything should work out.
Ethic, he's lazy.
He's lazy.
Didn't translate.
Exactly. It just, he got fat and happy after he made his first contract.
The tread was already off the tires.
Exactly. Injury history, what have you. But if he goes and drafts Aaron Donald coming out of Pitt, he's 6'1", 270 pounds, defensive tackle, like.
So what you're telling me is Nick Harbor's going first overall?
Yes, should be. But you know what I'm saying? Like, the GM is going to go to the owner and say, all right, here's the thing. All right, I know you see this guy and he looks like a mini fridge. And he's 6 foot, short arms. He's not great against the run, but he's really disruptive. He's really active, but he's not the guy we want leading us off the bus. The owner's going to be like, why would we take him at number 1 overall?
Right.
Well, he's got a lot of tackles. I don't care. He doesn't look the part. He's the anomaly. Well, they take Aaron Donald. Aaron Donald busts. And guess who gets fired? The GM.
Yeah, I think it sounds like what you're saying is if GM comes to head coach and owner and says, every box that we've ever created for this position, this guy checks. Therefore, you say, if it doesn't work out, you go back to him with your list of boxes that have been checked. Like, hey, arm length, speed, played against elite competition in college, went against elite guys in college, had success, like everything we always wanted. Here it is. And that's where you can go back and say, no, I did my due diligence. We had all of our check marks right here, all of them.
Yes.
As opposed to 2 inches too short, not enough arm length, too slow, yet went somewhere else and turned into a big-time player. Like,
correct.
well, you didn't want him because you said those things. So it's a good point. And I do think it makes sense where there's a lot of CYA in the draft.
Complete.
Where guys are like, well, no, this is how we've always drafted that position. That's what I did. It's not my fault he didn't come to work every day.
I'll give you the perfect example, okay? Peyton Manning, Ryan Leaf. Peyton Manning, Ryan Leaf. Everyone remembers this, 1998 draft, right?
Of course.
Okay, it's not like it's that long ago to the point where people don't remember this. The only reason I know this because I have spent a lot of time on the desk with Bill Polian, spent a lot of time around Bill Polian, so I kind of know the intricacies. They're measuring Peyton Manning versus Ryan Leaf. Everything from a physical skill set standpoint says Ryan Leaf. Physical skill set, like on the hoof, he's bigger, he's more athletic, he's faster.
I can tell you somebody who was consuming college football at a high level at that time. Ryan Leaf had more wow factor than Peyton.
He was a bona fide number 1 overall pick.
When you watch them both throw, you were like, yeah, but that guy's is still a little bit different. Like Ryan Leaf was different. Now,
no doubt.
I think it's safe to say if you looked at it, you were like, Peyton is not going to bust. He may never get the big ceiling, but he's not going to bust. It's not going to happen.
Well, the thing is, I mean, if you're really going exclusively on the draft process, which is throwing in shorts, throwing in shirts, 40-yard dash, NFL combine, like if you're going on the draft process alone, it's Ryan Leaf by a mile. It's not close. Like physical skill set. Why do you think Jamarcus Russell got drafted number 1 overall? Like physical skill set is going to win out most of the time. And it's an easy thing to justify. But the one guy, Bill Polian, and he's in the Hall of Fame as a result of it, he said, you know what? Yeah, it's great that he looks pretty. Man, he looks pretty, but I need the bird in the hand. I need the guy with the NFL pedigree. I need the guy that's got an insane chip on his shoulder for freaking everything. If the sun goes up, beats him to the facility, he's mad. Like I need that guy. I need that personality.
Yeah.
And I might not necessarily get a Hall of Fame quarterback, but I know I'm going to have a guy that's going to put me in position to be successful week to week. And in the NFL, that's a really valuable quality. So he goes with that. He's in the Hall of Fame. The guy that drafts Ryan Leaf, never to be seen or heard from again. But everything in the draft prospects would probably have led. If Peyton Manning's name were Peyton Cubelic, it's not a conversation. Ryan Leaf's going number one.
Correct.
Seriously.
If you were to take what you just said and apply it to Shedeur Sanders and Cam Ward alone, just those two, which two would sort of pull ahead in both departments? So start with your traditional draft process.
Traditional draft process, Cam Ward is going to be physically more impressive.
Okay. Better off balance, better off platform, probably stronger arm overall.
Yeah.
I think the personality is going to win you over.
Strictly draft process, it's Cam Ward.
But see, I also think if I'm going on the second portion of that and I'm just looking at ceiling and intangibles that may not be able to be measured in Indianapolis or watching the film, I think I still take Cam Ward.
It's Cam Ward this year. But if you want to measure between, I think a better measurement might be between Jackson Dart and Shedeur Sanders.
I would think if you are the place that I feel like, and again, you know the position better than I do, but the place that I feel like Shedeur would lean ahead is if you look for mechanically the traditional quarterback traits. And if there's somebody who says, I want a guy that looks this way in the pocket, that delivers the football this way, that throws this kind of a ball, that would be, but yet we still add some more athleticism and ability to move and dodge and do different things. We're getting some extras with this, but that's where I think Shedeur may win over.
I think Shedeur is a better prospect than Jackson Dart. I'm not
even versus Cam Ward though.
No, I don't think there's anything.
Shedeur is stronger.
I do think that mechanically speaking, like fundamentals, yes,
right.
But fundamentals have gone by the wayside now, dude. People don't care. I mean, like everyone and their brother wants a sidearm slinging dude. It's Mahomes. Look at him change his arm angle. Look at that arm angle. That's like the new look how big.
They're gonna love Quinn Ewers.
Well, I like Quinn a lot. I think he's a pretty good player. I don't think he has a big enough arm.
Well, I'm saying he's got all the arm angles though. If that's what floats your boat, he'll be your guy.
I don't think he's got enough arm. I mean, it's just those guys up there, they can throw it off their back foot. I mean, people like wonder if you look at some of the guys that.
Who is the weakest armed successful quarterback of all time? I mean,
Chad
this
Pennington.
very seriously.
Chad Pennington and Brad Johnson are the weakest armed successful quarterbacks of all time.
Okay.
It's a very easy one. But they knew how to freaking play. Like they were both dudes.
Breeze after surgery?
No, Breeze had plenty of arm.
Okay.
Yeah, he could rip it. I'm trying to think of like others in the modern era. Like Peyton down the stretch of his career did not have much.
Wasn't a lot of velocity there.
A lot of placement, really more so than ripping it. But currently,
it's
like
just when you go look through them all, and not just now, but go back even 10 years, the guys who were the majority of their success came via accuracy. There's just not a lot of them in the NFL. There's not. I mean, 98% of the guys in the NFL can absolutely sling it.
Yeah, they can rip it.
And it's just that's one of the things that's going to be tough for guys to work through. If you don't have that part of it, you can't coach that into guys. Number one, you can go throw heavy balls 300 days a year, and you're only putting so much more velocity on it. But
yeah, it's really more twitch. Like you gotta, like I think back of the years of the Bama quarterbacks, like strong arms or whatnot. Excuse me. None have had like lasers, like howitzers. But it's been developed in some cases. Like I think that's part of the reason why A.J. McCarron was never a starting quarterback in the NFL, because he never had a big enough arm. He's not a big arm guy. He doesn't have one. He's a placement guy, which is fine. There's nothing wrong with that. It just the game has changed now.
Sure.
That it's really become more of an athletic game. And it's not really as much about playing in phase. It's not really as much about playing within the system, timing, accuracy. Is there a place for it? Yes. But it's harder to win with a placement guy and an anticipation guy than it is to win with a Lamar Jackson type that can get you out of trouble. I call a bad play. He can still make me right. Like I think that's where the game has gone. And the Chad Penningtons, Brad Johnsons, AJ McCarrons, Guys like that have kind of gone by the wayside. Doesn't mean there's not still potentially a place for him, but it's mostly to be as a veteran that's going to develop the young guy.
You're right. Yeah, it's an interesting thought. Just a little bit of draft talk today. Can maybe come back to some of that just a little bit later in the show. We'll get to our top 3 next on Mac and Cube in the morning. All right, welcome back in. McElroy and Cubelic in the morning. 7:48 Friday, February 21st. Right here on Jocks 94.5. Talking NFL draft. We'll get back to it because we have an interesting thought coming in via Twitter in hour number 2. But one thing that you look at with some of these quarterbacks is not just the ceiling, but who may have the highest floor. And that's a conversation we can get back to as well, and I'm sure we'll have before the draft gets here. If that floor were to be yours, you would probably want it to be from Shannara Flooring.
That's right. Shannara Flooring. And Fu, the owner, does an amazing job of making sure he's put together a team of people that work for him that he can trust, that it's going to make sure that your flooring is done right. And we know it's a big, big purchase. That's why you get 12 months financing with approved credit. And you can get it done today if you wanted to. Well, today might be a stretch, but they can get it done really quickly because Fu and his company at Shannara Flooring, they have 40,000 square feet of Core-Tech flooring by Shaw in stock. This is waterproof, kid-proof, pet-proof flooring that brings value to your home or business. They're just so easy to clean and maintain. So remember, if you're thinking about making some changes to your floors, call who? Call Fu. Call them today at 205-518-6423 or go online at fooandyou.com.
Top 3 rotates. We get to it most days here on McElroy and Cubelic in the morning. Today, John Saber has our top 3. What do you have for us today?
Well, today, as we all know, that it is obviously National Grain-Free Day, which I'm sure, hopefully, if you have to celebrate it, that sings for you. But if you don't, because I like bread and I prefer not to celebrate it. It's also National Boiled Peanuts Day, which I am not a fan. I think they're gross. and smell weird. Also, it's a happy birthday to Jennifer Love Hewitt and Sophie Turner. But it's also
love Jennifer Love.
Wow.
Jordan Peele's birthday. He turns 46. And he came out the gate swinging with his directorial debut in Get Out. So I'm asking you, give me your top 3 horror movies.
Number 1, Friday the 13th. Number 2, Nightmare on Elm Street. Number 3, whatever the one was, based in Japan with the dead kid living in the attic. And I think it was Sarah Michelle Gellar.
That's not The Ring. That's
it's after it was the big copycat of The Ring and sort of took you down the same path. I don't need the freak show fake kids coming back, pushing their nails off on the floor. It's just
The Grudge.
I don't need it.
Wow.
And
Love
I say
that.
best because it actually made me turn it off.
Really?
I was just done with it. I don't
It's
need
just too much for you.
I don't need the dead kids coming back to visit you. I'm sorry. And as we're dropping them off here for school, sorry guys.
Yeah.
My bad. But yeah, that would be number 3 for me.
Love that. All right. I'm going The Ring.
Yes.
Okay.
All right. I'm not a big horror film fan. He's so soft. No, I think you're psycho if you
Scared,
like
say
horror
you're
movies.
scared.
I am. Yeah. I
Just
think
admit it's fine.
just because you're psycho doesn't mean you don't even matter to me. Like I don't necessarily need all that. So The Ring is number 1 for me. I always enjoyed that. Number 2, Silence of the Lambs, especially disturbing because it could happen. You know, it's just a little too.
Why can't The Ring happen?
I haven't seen.
I ain't seen
a lot of
jump
people.
on the TV.
Yeah, I'm not about to like go get in a well anywhere. And
Nah.
You seen a meteor hit the Earth yet? Apparently that's coming in a couple years.
no, it's actually the percentage shrunk. I heard it this morning on the news.
Oh boy.
We're down to 0.28%.
Okay.
Oh, that's a big
down
drop.
from 1.5. So
There we go.
get some NASA. I'm telling you, dude, that
So
thing ain't played
now
nobody.
you're telling me the asteroid is basically Bitcoin, and we watch it every day to see if it's up or down. Is that it?
It could happen. And then
Said
finally,
same thing about Bitcoin.
Finally, this one a little bit of a guilty pleasure because it might have been one of the first horror movies I saw in theater, and it really wasn't that scary.
Okay.
The Haunting. You remember The Haunting?
Wasn't that scary, but it was
Not
fine.
that scary.
Yeah.
Not really a lot of jumpy scenes.
No.
But it was really well
it got you.
parodied.
Yeah.
Really well parodied in Scary Movie 2.
Oh, okay. So that's what.
So I think
that's what
that
did it.
helped
Okay.
too. You know.
Okay.
So-
all right.
Okay.
Damien.
Number 3 for me is The Ring. It was kind of one of the first scary movies I had seen, and as I got older, I was like, okay, I can see why this freaked me out when I was a kid. Number 2, The Conjuring series, like the series of The Conjurings. That was all.
It's okay. That's a series, not a movie, but all right. fine.
Well, specifically The Conjuring 2 when they
There
went
we go,
overseas,
okay.
and like that wind-up toy that they had, and it jumped out and scared the kid. That was
it's a bit much. Yeah. Yeah.
It was
but
it was a little aggressive.
It got me.
Number 1. Number 1, it's kind of a tie between the first Friday the 13th and The Haunting in Connecticut.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
That one
was-
kind of
That's that
one
will
freaked me
get
out.
you. That one will get you.
that one freaked me out.
Okay.
Yeah. For me, honorable mention goes to the Terminator.
A horror
A
movie?
horror movie?
Yeah, there's a big monster chasing him the whole time.
Well,
How's
that
it
means
not
Mighty
a horror
Morphin
movie?
Power
Not a
Rangers
horror
should be a
movie.
horror movie.
Not a horror movie.
Yes, it absolutely
Sci-fi.
is.
Sci-fi.
Just because it happens to have other genres in it, there's a big monster chasing and killing, trying to get after a woman.
The
Yeah,
monster
it's a horror
wasn't
movie.
scary.
You telling me the Terminator's not scary? You wouldn't be afraid to have that dude coming at you and an unstoppable force coming at you like the
A
Ring?
big monster chasing after a woman. I mean, that could be interpreted in a lot of different ways. Like that's like When Harry Met Sally. That could be like
kind
any
of a horror movie,
rom-com.
too. That's scary.
I mean,
Billy
these are
Crystal
all
with all that
things.
hair, that's a bit much sometimes. Number 3 is Cabin in the Woods.
Ooh, that one. I've seen the preview for that.
That's a really good movie. It's a bit meta because it takes all the horror genre and kind of turns it on its head. It's funny at times, but what they do with it, absolutely great. Number 2, as I mentioned before, is Get Out. It's more of a thriller, but
Remind me
still,
which one that is.
That's the one with where people are getting taken and having their
Changing.
their parts and stuff getting moved over to
Yes.
Yeah.
with the
I don't
racial
think I've
commentary and
seen the
whatnot.
tape
Yes.
on that one.
Yeah.
It's appeal. It's
Yes.
yeah.
Greg,
Jordan
I'm
Peele.
surprised if your whole definition is could really happen that Blair Witch Project is not number 1 for you.
Well, that did happen.
it did,
Well,
right.
it could.
Well, no, I'm gonna be honest with you.
I've
Like
seen the tape.
I was gonna do Sixth Sense, but it's just
That
That's-
horror?
That's an honorable mention of mine. Yeah.
Is that
It's a good
a
one. Yeah.
horror
Horror
movie?
movie?
Yes. Oh,
It
yeah.
is?
If it is,
That's
I'd
a
put it
little
up
bit of a
there.
scary one.
Yes.
Well, John's brought a whole new genre in. So now, The Last Action Hero, horror movie.
Last,
Predator, horror
gosh,
movie.
how good is Last Action Hero?
It honestly is. It's a top 10 of mine.
Rambo, horror movie.
It's a horror movie.
No, he's out there
according to
killing,
John.
not doing the killing.
But-
But it's different. That's fine. Y'all don't have taste. And
What
can
about
understand.
Carrie?
Alien, horror movie.
Actually, that is.
Say
Carrie?
Carrie.
Carrie was it's a lot.
It's
Right.
It's a
yeah,
lot.
yeah.
I would say Scream would be up there for me just because it was so a lot of it was so unexpected. Now the follow-ups not so much.
Oh, very much so. Yes. Yes.
Scream 8 was the best one.
Scream 8.
Okay.
No, I don't even know if they've
No,
had that
no,
many.
no.
What about
Were there
Saw?
5?
Saw's not bad. The original Saw is very.
The
number
original
one,
Saw is good.
Number one for me is Dawn of the Dead.
Really?
I hadn't
Yeah.
seen that one.
Like the original, what is that? 1938.
No. The
Not
remake
Shaun of
with
the
Zack
Dead?
Snyder with zombies that run fast and come at you. That one was really good.
The Will Smith in New York when everything goes bad. That was a good one.
Oh yeah, Hitch. Yeah.
Not that one.
Oh. Yeah. I Am Legend.
I Am
yes.
Legend.
I Am Legend.
That's
Yeah,
a good one.
really good.
Also sci-fi.
According to Variety, the number one horror film all time is the OG Texas Chainsaw Massacre, 1974.
You can have it.
Number 2, The Exorcist, which probably does deserve to be mentioned.
Whew,
Yeah.
I would maybe say the most disturbing,
Yeah, it was
Horror
before its
movie.
time.
but yeah, it was a little ahead of
It
the
set
curve.
the scene.
Welcome back in. McElroy and Cubelic in the morning. Hour number 2 underway, Friday, February 21st, 8 a.m. on Jocks 94.5. You can listen online, jocksfm.com. Go grab the app in your app store, iPhone, Android. You can download that for free. Always listen on the go there. Get all your podcasts there, as well as at jocksfm.com, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, wherever you get yours. Polar Bear Services, Greg, something that people need to make sure that they have the ability to reach with what's happening with our weather right now.
Yeah, keep an eye on your pipes, too. Now that Polar Bear Services added plumbing, they literally can help you in every possible way around your home. We would note they specialize in the HVAC, so if you have any issues that pop up here today with your heat or air, make sure that you give them a call. Wes and the guys will do a great job and get it taken care of as soon as possible. But if you have problems with your pipes, if they burst for whatever reason, call Polar Bear Services today. They're serving all over great state of Alabama. So remember, if you have a problem with your electrical, plumbing, heat, or air, just pick up the phone, call the Bear. It's 205-497-BEAR. That's 497-BEAR.
All right, we're going to welcome in John Hinyon, the director of the Tides That Bind, that you can find now on Fox Nation, documentary of Alabama football that went right after Nick Saban's retirement. John, I imagine that was a big portion of putting this together, or were the decisions maybe made before that actually took place?
What was a big part of it?
Nick
Nice to
Saban's
meet you,
retirement. Nice to meet you as well. Thank you for joining us.
Yeah, I think, I mean, I know you know my colleague Caleb Castile, and I think the entire project, as most do, have sort of like a long genesis in terms of getting the access and approvals that need to happen. And yes, I do believe, once, Coach Kalen DeBoer and the new staff came in, there started to be conversations with the university about how to sort of bring this story to life in this sort of like influx or transition period after Nick Saban's retirement.
How would you say, first of all, what is your background? Looked up some things, and it sounds like you're relatively new to the Alabama football world, but your first impressions of what we value as like cultural experiences every single Saturday here in the great state of Alabama.
Yeah, I mean, I'm new to Alabama football, but I'm not new to sports. I played sports in high school, tiny bit of college. And I think as a storyteller and a filmmaker, there's a lot of universals that transcend any one sport. Prior to this, I was a showrunner of a series, Welcome to Wrexham, which was about, English football or soccer, as we would call it here. And I was a goalie in high school, but that was my entire resume. So you kind of just learn and look for the universals across the board. But I can tell you that, I lived in Ann Arbor, Michigan for a couple of years. And coincidentally, I cut my teeth. My first actual job being paid in film was as a camera operator for University of Michigan. And I can tell you that was my first college football experience and one of my only since then. The SEC is a religious experience. It's just like next level across the board. And Bryant Denny on a Saturday, I don't think there's anything like it. And, growing up in the Northeast, I go and tell my friends about the experience. And really, that's what I tried to capture in the first 5 minutes of the first episode, was that experience of walking down the hall and kind of walking into this cathedral of noise and adulation of 100,000+ people, an entire city in Bryant Denny Stadium. So yeah, it's been it was baptism by fire, but I really loved it. And the story behind even the title and what we try to do is to look at this period of change and transformation, but also try to highlight the things that stay the same, these universal truths that have always sort of been this glue that have kept the culture of Alabama football so successful for generations.
What parts of, and we're visiting with John Hinyon, director of the Tides That Bind, Inside Alabama Football. You can find it now on Fox Nation. What part of the resilience, accountability, brotherhood portion that you were going after did you find most intriguing? Parts that maybe stuck out that were there, or maybe some parts that weren't as strong as you thought?
That's an interesting question. I don't know if I have an acute answer to that. I think the idea of the standard and that being sort of this broad definition that can be applied to various different situations is pretty interesting. And there's, in all sports, there's a lot of sayings that are used over and over again because they are these sort of congealing factors. But I think the thing that was most fascinating is that these things aren't trapped in time. These things have to evolve and they have to adapt. I mean, we are living through an amazing period in college football in terms of the transformation that, things like NIL, college football playoffs, all these things that are changing. And so all these things have to evolve. And I think one of the things I was really trying to capture is that this idea of the standard or resilience or accountability are not these things that are trapped in time, but they're things that actually have to evolve as well.
So when you started to first spend time with Kalen DeBoer, what were some of your impressions? You referenced having been around some sports before and having been around some high-end coaches. What were some of the experiences you had and the takeaways you had after spending time with Kalen?
Yeah, I mean, it's an interesting thing, and I'm sure you've had experience. We all have. You never know. Like it's all about personalities. Everyone is. Some people are very busy, and I have colleagues that have worked in other programs, and they'll work and only get 20 minutes with a coach or a high profile athlete in months sometimes of filming, and you got to book it and schedule it. Whereas Coach DeBoer, his door is always open, and everyone always says that. I remember one of my first impressions was really trying to race through and make sure I wasn't taking up too much of his time, and he just kind of conveys a sense of patience and time for everybody, and you can sit there and chat with him sometimes to the point where you're like, I'm imposing now. Shouldn't I leave? And my first and favorite memory was early on we sat and we chatted about the creative of the project, and he really listened and was understanding what I was putting forward in terms of my methodology, my approach. But then after that, we got talking about some of the things that he's been bringing from program to program, and he just started pulling out binders and showing me PDFs and things like that, and kind of geeking out about PowerPoints and organization. And he just struck me as very meticulous and thoughtful, but also open. And we kept on seeing that over and over again. He always had time to stop and engage and really look the person in the eye and understand where they're coming from.
We're visiting with John Hinion, director of The Tides That Bind, Inside Alabama Football, documentary on the Crimson Tide that is now on Fox Nation. A lot of folks that are listening right now, John, are diehard Alabama fans and would tell you that they know just about everything there is to know about the team via social media, via maybe websites or writers, accounts that they follow. But you got to go behind the scenes. What is the one thing or a couple things you would share that you saw that you would say most people probably don't know about last year's Alabama football team?
That's interesting. About that team specifically,
or the coaching staff, or what happens inside that building?
I don't know, but I would say this. I was struck by how much of a family it was. Because from the outside looking in, I see all the championships and I see Alabama football on national television for years and years and years. It's almost like this thing that doesn't need to be defined. You just kind of think you know it because it's around, kind of like Coca-Cola. And then you get there and all the people that have been there for years and even the new people, and inside Malmore, the practice facility, from, the nutritionists and the cafeteria to the player development people, it was just this feeling of family and belonging, and this sense of sort of through thick and thin we stick together. But it was also, I was kind of it was really new to see how much support and encouragement players were given on a three-dimensional basis, not just football, but in academics and personal life. And you think about it, these are very young men that are leaving home for the very first time. And so some of them are trying to figure out how to, rent a house, do really simple things. And there was always someone there. And you could see it from the players who would just sort of walk in after practice into various offices and just chat with staff. And different staff had different relationships with different players. And I just thought that was such a wonderful feeling of love and family that I wasn't anticipating, especially because we're living in this era that we all talk about now of NIL and things becoming, having, a lot more business sense in a lot of ways. But that sort of sense of community and family was really palpable inside the building.
I would imagine. So did you get the sense that there was a feeling out process between the players and the coaches? I know you referenced that they were family, but then the family atmosphere that had been created. But did you get the sense that there was still maybe a process of feeling out and maybe a level of discomfort with the newness of Kalen DeBoer's approach when compared to what Nick Saban had done for the 17 or 18 years prior?
Not really. I don't know if I'm the right person to really be judging that either, because I am a filmmaker. So even though there is a sense of family and I've felt very much taken in, I'm also an observer. And so I'm not there for every moment and to be able to really kind of speak to that in any kind of broad level. I felt that everyone had a job to do and they were doing it, and everyone approached it very professionally. And I never sort of observed anything that gave me a sense that was like, oh, that's not how we used to do it or anything like that. I just didn't have that sort of exposure.
John, I'm interested more so from a filmmaking perspective, and if it does apply here, I think that everyone would be interested to know who that individual was or individuals, specifically in making a documentary. Is it hard to avoid, I guess the easiest way to say it would be individuals that you become fans of personally or begin to root for personally, and not just jam them in as much as possible because it sort of sparks your intrigue as to wanting to see them battle back or succeed or do well, as opposed to continuing to tell a story?
Yeah, I think you have to balance those two things. I mean, you certainly, I think of great documentary as sort of a relative of anthropology and exploration, which is innately related to your own curiosity. And so, who I decide to point a camera at is sometimes driven by my own curiosity in terms of like what's interesting about this character and makes them tick. And then there are things that the game or the practice or the events sort of decide. For example, like the first episode, I kind of focused in on Jalen Milroe and Ryan Williams. Number one, because they're stars, and sometimes you want to start with the stars, but also with the Georgia game, it all came down to that one really amazing sort of dramatic play that kind of was the highlight we saw over and over again throughout the season. So, from that point, you kind of reverse engineer your storytelling from something that happened in a game and retell it. In episode 2, for example, like Caden Proctor, who's a guy that, initially transferred after Saban retired and then came back, which is an interesting story to explore, but he also had like a minor injury in the first game of the season. And so to watch him and kind of follow him as he builds back and gets back in the lineup at Georgia kind of dictated that. And then there are other players, like Hugh Robinson is not, an everyday highlight guy, but he is like the emotional heart of the team in a lot of ways. And he's not the only one. There's plenty of others. But so that's a guy that, I observed how social he was, and he really made an effort to kind of communicate and, socialize with the staff every single day. And he had this sort of an emotional impact on the team, even for me. Like, he was the first one that was actually kind of approached me and asked me what I was doing. And so I kind of like let that narrative lead me to it. And then, very unfortunately, he gets injured in the LSU game, which kind of like brought the two together. And suddenly he was justified within a game situation for being a character that's featured.
It's got to be pretty wild when you're putting these things together. As you get to the process and you're putting a bow on it, and you're looking at all the film that you gathered over the course of several months, how do you kind of decide at that point, all right, this is episode 1, this is episode 4, it's a 6-part series. So how do you kind of consolidate? I mean, it's kind of easy if you just go in chronological order, but it didn't sound like it's exactly what you did. Obviously, that's part of it, a decent part of it, a majority of it, frankly. But how do you decide like what goes with what?
Oh, it's hard, man. It's a lot of work, and there's a lot of hands. I probably shot 600 hours. And, we partnered with the university. The university had an amazing, video department that I was able to use their footage too. Like, all the pretty highlight stuff is really stuff that, this guy Walter Brock and his team in the football department shoot. And then I have, I think I had up to 6 editors at one point, and then editing staff and all that stuff. But to answer your question, like, yeah, you get to start linearly. That's one of the beauties of sports, is there is an inherent story arc. There's a beginning, there's an end, there's setbacks, there's triumphs, there's, resilience, there's conflict, there's resolution. But my philosophy is like, if you're just going to tell the story of a game linearly, you might as well just watch the game. If you're going to tell a story about a game, you have to find these sort of like transition and bridge points to allow you to either jump back in time, jump forward in time, jump out of a game, meet a player, come back to the game. And so, that's really what sort of informs it, is like, what are the human interest stories that we can bring into the narrative of these games, and in what way? And so for me, it was just like the Georgia game was this amazing, exciting moment in time that kind of lived on an island. So we had to start there. And so after that, we made the decision to like flash back. So in episode 2, flashback to preseason, and then kind of reset and kind of dig into Coach Kalen DeBoer's story, in his first year at Alabama, and build from there. And then really it's sort of following the timeline, but following the stories and what you have on the board that you can kind of like integrate, and you start to see sort of like patterns in terms of like what stories sort of work together narratively. And as you mentioned earlier, we have these themes. So we also look at the things that we shot. We're like, okay, thematically, like episode 5 is the family episode. What are the things that we shot? What players do we have strong family arcs with? So we kind of like put them together and then try to find, okay, where does that live in the timeline? Okay, we're at the LSU game. How do we integrate that family theme into the narrative, the organic and natural narrative of the LSU game? So the short answer to your question is like, I don't know, man. I just figure it out as we go.
Yeah, makes perfect sense. I think that's good transparency. Finally, as you're putting a bow on the show, it's all done. You start to go run it. You start to visit with the Netflix of the world, the Hulus of the world. This has always kind of fascinated me. You guys ended up at Fox Nation. How does that work? I mean, how exactly do you go and you have visits, you have meetings, and you ultimately decide, all right, this is the best one for us? And what's that process like?
It's a good question. That's a very, film business question. And it's kind of chicken or the egg. Most cases, you pitch, you develop the show like we started out talking about in terms of, the genesis of the show started with a lot of conversation with the university and gaining the access. There was a production partner, Wavelength Productions, out of New York City, run by John Westfall and Joe Plummer, and Caleb and Seth Carter are a part of another production entity. So they became part of the package. And then really this one kind of came back, and the relationship with Fox Nation happened in an interesting way where, the production company hired me after they had the access, and there had been a deal in place, because normally you go out and you shop it and you get that Netflix or, Fox Nation or something to, put up the money and finance the project from the very beginning. In this case, there was an investor that backed out for various reasons. And so the production company was kind of supporting the project independently for several months. And then as I'm out there shooting and building relationships with Coach DeBoer and the staff and the players, the production companies are kind of putting together a new deal, and, came to the table with Fox Nation, and they were interested, and they put that together. So I actually didn't have a lot of optics out of it. I'm very grateful for that. There was a lot of work done behind the scenes while I was kind of head down in the field and just focusing on story. And so I'd say, I don't know, probably by like October or November, the deal with Fox Nation was finalized, and found a place for the show to have a home.
Well, John, we appreciate you sharing a little bit of the background on it and some details on the show. I know a lot of our listeners are going to be intrigued by it and go find it. But thanks for hopping on with us. Look forward to catch up with you again soon.
Thank you. Appreciate you guys. Have a good day.
Absolutely. That's John Hinion, the director of The Tides That Bind, documentary on Alabama football that is available via Fox Nation now. You can go check that out. Go see it. Kalen DeBoer's first season with the Crimson Tide as the head coach. And pretty cool to hear John discuss just how far Kalen went, Greg, to make life easier on them, to try to help them, give them that access. You don't hear that a lot.
For sure. I mean, he's awesome. And I think we've tried to tell people, I know I've told people privately, I've told people on the show, like, Kalen's just a really good guy and a really good dude. And, he's I think he at this point is learning more about the job and learning more about the opportunity, but he's just a real guy, a guy that you'd love to go and have a beer with, a guy that you'd love to go and spend time with, a guy that you'd feel comfortable sending your kids to play for. I mean, he's just that kind of person. So I'm glad that came through to the filmmakers, and I hope that comes through on the documentary as well.
I have a question about Alabama football that came up in that discussion with John that I want to discuss with you and just get your opinion on. Is there a part of what's left over from Nick Saban that is now misunderstood? And could that be somewhat problematic? I'll ask Greg about that when we return next on McElroy and Cubelic in the morning. $8:24 Friday, February 21st, right here on Jox 94.5. I have a question about something that might be left over from Nick Saban. Is it good? Is it maybe working against Alabama? I don't know if there's a real way to definitively know, but we'll discuss it in a moment. You have to wait on that discussion. One thing you never have to wait for, though, Greg, is your dental care.
That's because Family Dental has you taken care of at the urgent care office. You can be seen the same day in several locations to make it easy on you. They just added Trustful to make it super easy for those of you on the eastern part of the community. So Trustful's there. You got Hoover, Fultondale, Homewood, and Alabaster as well. And Family can only get you in the same day. And they have appointments on Fridays and Saturdays that include free teeth whitening. So if you're a patient of all ages, most insurance plans are accepted. It's a great place to go and get your dental care taken care of because we know how busy these schedules are for you. It's Family Care Dental, 874-9605. That's Family Care Dental, 874-9605.
One thing that John brought up with us, and that was John Hinyon. If you missed him, you can find it on the podcast, director of The Tides That Bind on Fox Nation documentary on Alabama football. Was a couple players, Greg, referencing the standard. And we've heard multiple players discuss that, talk about that, what that is, and sort of how that works. It was one of the things that stuck out about the description under the documentary's title that includes showcasing the resilience, accountability, and brotherhood that define champions. You and I have had discussions about how some of that may have been great and some of that may have not been as great as people think for this team this past year. And now we've heard in this offseason also like getting back to the standard.
Yeah.
To which some guys that have played at Alabama previously have said, why back? Like, where did it go? Why did that have to happen? Do you think that there could be a little bit of working against some of the regime that the standard is not technically known and that it becomes just this thing that people feel like is always there? But if you haven't really gotten a team to it, I don't even mean Kalen DeBoer. I just mean individuals there.
Right.
Like if you haven't lived it, do you know what it is? Because under Coach Saban, it was kind of, well, it was happening or very close to being there every season. So yeah, you knew what that was.
Sure.
You knew what it took to be that. Well, now things have fallen off just a smidge and it's just, the standard or get back to the standard. And I guess sort of the creator of that is not really there anymore. So can it still be a real thing? Is it something that just lives no matter what? Or do you have to be a part of, I don't even know if it makes any sense where I'm going, but I wonder if there are certain guys that are sitting back saying, we got to get to the standard. And it's just this mythical thing that people think is going to show up at some point. And that's not really what cultivated that. What cultivated that is how it was all built and then continuing to try to keep that going. And the person that did that essentially is gone now.
Yeah. I mean, I think, look, the standard is the standard. I think people say that a lot. I'm not sure everyone necessarily always knows what it means, but I think it's just an inherent expectation. And there's enough people that are still there from the very beginning of the Saban era that witnessed the peak and then the regression towards the end with consistency, and then can help explain it to the next generation. People like Jeff Allen, the trainer that had been there for forever. Yeah. One of the best in the business. I think he could be a very valuable asset to what the standard looks like. And I usually it's passed down from one team to the next by the senior leadership. But I do think that, let's be real, selfishness has gotten in the way at times the last few years. It's just the reality. You could deny that all you want. You're just denying truth. And I'm just really curious to see, is the standard capable of being attained in the modern era? I don't know. I don't know the answer to that. Because back in the day, not that this is some old man yelling at the clouds, no one cared what anyone else's background was or what their story was. All we cared about is, how can you help us win? And it wasn't about NIL. It wasn't about any of the other stuff. It was about, how can we make each other better every single day? The standard was outrageously high because of the level of competition that was within the locker room. Why was the competition so good in the locker room? Because we had multiple good players at every position, and you were in jeopardy of being replaced at any point if you did not do what you were supposed to do. That's the standard. And I don't think the roster's deep enough to do that anymore.
I'm not sure any are.
Exactly. And that's why the level of play has dropped off in some places, and the places that at one point had crazy dominance, I don't think it has that anymore.
When you go back to, we spoke to Ryan Harris, who played at Notre Dame, Super Bowl champion for the Denver Broncos, and he does now color for Notre Dame radio broadcasts about Marcus Freeman at the Orange Bowl. And he said the thing that people aren't talking about is how much Marcus in the preseason and early in the regular season began to emphasize reps for younger players or new players or guys that hadn't had players here. And we saw that pay off with Notre Dame. No team overcame more meaningful injuries in a positive way than Notre Dame did this season.
Correct.
And I talked to Steve Sarkisian at Media Days, and he said, we're going to try to get younger guys in the games a lot earlier, in meaningful games, meaningful reps, not when we're up 30. And he wasn't saying, hey, we're going to be up 30 early. He was just saying, we got to try to find time for guys to learn how to play.
Yeah.
And because we're going to need them. It's going to be a longer season. It's going to be a more difficult grind. We got to know how to get that done. So that's going to become a big part of it. Teams that can figure that out, that depth has been an issue. We've already seen it. It's presented itself multiple times.
Sure.
You got to get through that. And so by having to add new bodies to help with that depth, maybe that's another thing that works against, like you said, carrying that standard over year after year. New guy comes in, he doesn't exactly know how things go or how things work. Makes it more difficult to carry that on.
I think it sounds good. It doesn't mean it can't be attained. I just think it's going to take really strong leadership that's in it for the right reasons. And I think it's hard nowadays to find guys like that. You ask any team or any coach nowadays, like it's hard to get the guys to listen. It's hard to get the guys to do what we ask them to do. All the coaches will tell you that. And back in the day, it was like, dude, whatever you need me to do, I will do.
You used to have to.
Well,
you kind of don't have to now.
Well, but it also was like this inherent trust. Like my parents trusted Nick Saban. They didn't always like some of the things that coach would say. They didn't always agree with how coach handled certain situations, but they kind of trusted him. Now you have every player has their own quote team around them. I got to go talk with my team. Well, your team back in the day was like your mom or your dad and Coach Saban. That was your team.
A lot of it was your position room.
Yeah. So I don't know. I mean, I think you need really good guys on your team. And if you don't, you will fracture. And it'll be very obvious to everyone that watches.
That feels very fair. It was just an interesting thought that I had when he brought that up and he was discussing it. And you hear younger guys. And again, I'm not pointing fingers at guys that haven't played. That's not everybody's fault. I didn't get on the field right when I got to Auburn. And sometimes you have to develop. It happens. But some guys that haven't really been a part of things on the field and they start throwing that standard around and need to get back to the standard and more of the standard. And it's just kind of like, that's not something that just is omnipresent. It doesn't just survive and last. It has to be created. And the individuals inside of it are the ones that create it. And if you're telling me the same individuals that sort of let it go are now saying, hey, we want to create it again, that becomes hard for me to sort of believe. I do think that one guy, I've seen a couple of clips and I've read some quotes that people may sort of, I was asking John Hinion about, was there individuals that you sort of fell in love with and that you wanted to see succeed and you wanted more of? I feel like in documentaries, oftentimes we get that. Guys that we didn't expect to like as much or want to root for as much. And all of a sudden you're sitting there finding yourself, man, I hope this guy gets to play. I hope this guy gets a touchdown. I hope this guy succeeds. Or I hope this girl was able to do that. But I think if there's a guy that comes out of this, Greg, Jamarcus Shepard might be that guy.
Right.
Alabama's wide receiver coach. And I don't think people know a lot about him, first and foremost. I don't think people have an understanding of sort of who he is. He wasn't really super high profile assistant coach for 20 years like some other guys are around college football, but he is old school and he is no nonsense. And I've had multiple conversations with him. I have watched him pregame, in-game, at practice, coach his guys. It is not an easy task to play for him. And I think that's why you saw some of the extra stuff that the Bama receivers were doing this year was because of him. I think he brought that out in them. So if there's a guy that I think Alabama fans don't really know that may sort of begin to like and root for a little bit, he might be that guy after they watch this.
He's awesome. Big fan of his, always have been. The time I spent with him when he was at Washington and what kind of just his personality, the way he relates to the players, the way he holds those players accountable. The problem is I don't think his room was very talented last year. I think they had a couple guys, right? A couple guys that were good. But good news is both those guys are back. I just think the rest of them are just solid players. They're not difference makers. They're not game changers. And the people here associated with Alabama are really only going to focus on the game changers. So we'll see. I mean, we will see how this all plays out and how well received it is. But I think people are really going to like the staff. The more they get to know them, the more they're going to like them.
Right.
I just think people were so used to things being a certain way, the difference that Kalen DeBoer has when compared to Nick Saban and the staff members, by the way, because they all get to address the media as well. I think just the difference in the messaging, the difference in the nuance is it just took people by surprise.
Yeah.
But I'm telling you, these guys coach them hard now.
No doubt.
They don't, just because you don't have to scream at the top of your lungs and treat them like, you're not going to war necessarily. So they're not yelling at them like crazy, but I'm telling you, they coach them hard. And Shepard's, I think, one of those guys that'll help you explain that.
So we'll talk a little bit more about Alabama football on the other side. There's some questions coming in via Twitter on a couple of topics that we have covered in the last few segments. And I also, with all the dominance that's taking place in SEC basketball, the usual dominance the last decade of SEC football that we have seen, SEC baseball, women's basketball, we have seen so much dominance. There is some bad news for the Southeastern Conference, where they may be falling way behind in the world of college athletics. We'll discuss that and more right after this on McElroy and Cubelic in the morning. Friday, February 21st on Jocks 94.5. Listen online, jocksfm.com. Watch live on YouTube. Search Jocks 945. There is some bad news for the Southeastern Conference. With all the dominance that is spread around so many different sports inside the SEC, there's one area that they are lacking. And it's disturbing, quite honestly. Did not know that there was a Twitter feed dedicated to college dodgeball.
What?
But in
Is it Dogeball or Dodgeball?
at NCDA Dodgeball via Twitter, described as, we are the NCDA.
The what?
NCDA. It felt like the intro of the Nation of Domination there for a moment. We are college dodgeball. DM us to start up a team at your school. That feels easy.
Right?
Which means with all the resources at SEC schools, what are we doing?
Yeah.
Would you like their most recent from 14 hours ago power rankings? I'm going to warn you, I don't think you do.
Really?
But I'm going to give them to you either way.
Okay.
I'll start at 25,
Here we go.
we do have some representation, thankfully. Your Ole Miss Black Bears at 25.
I've been wondering where they were.
Well, they're back. I think they're back in. I don't know if they ever left, but
No one has ever been so back.
let's go through 24 to 15 quickly.
All right.
Wisconsin Stout, North Georgia, Georgia Southern, Central Michigan, Western Michigan, Northern Kentucky, Saginaw Valley State, Wisconsin Plateville, Penn State, Maryland.
Merlin?
Maryland. Big Ten, strong showing so far. We'll go from 15 to 10. Nebraska, Cleveland State, Illinois, Kent State, James Madison. Your top 10 would go, well, James Madison's 10. Virginia, Cincinnati, Bowling Green State,
BGSU?
Ohio State. What a year for the Buckeyes.
You say Bug Eyes?
Yes. Miami of Ohio, Grand Valley State, Ohio at 3. I feel like the state of Ohio is just good at dodgeball.
It gets cold up there in the winter.
I mean, they're just they are to dodgeball what Alabama is to high school football.
What?
You heard me.
Excuse me?
Michigan State 2, and your number one team in the NCDA top 25 power rankings,
Oh, boy.
the Akron Zips. Finally got some good news.
Who coaches them?
That's a very fair question that I do not have an inkling on. I would imagine it rotates between
Joe Moorhead?
members of the fraternity.
Oh, the frat dogs.
Correct.
Wow. Didn't see that coming. I am really curious
All
why.
you have to do, Greg, is DM that account and you can start a team at your school.
Okay. Who was the NBA player that recently went back to play college golf? J.R. Smith.
He played for, can't remember where he went back to play.
Hampton? I don't remember where it was. Anyways, was it North Carolina A&T?
That's what I was thinking it was.
I think it was North Carolina A&T. Anyways, doesn't matter. Beside the point. He went back at like 37. I think I'm going to go back.
Yeah.
And you know what? My recruitment is open.
Well,
Personally, the closest school, the closest school to
Zachary.
me is University of Phoenix. I can just walk upstairs to my computer and get on there.
Yeah, but I don't think the campus is close for you to go in.
Oh, it's close
Depends
enough.
on where they play
There's
their
enough. There's enough people in this community that have a University of Phoenix degree.
I feel like they
They're
just do
actively
it on
taking
those.
classes.
You just play on those Apple goggles.
Yeah. Ooh, I like that. I've literally never seen anyone own one, but Apple
Why
goggles.
would
We can
anybody
get
need
that.
to own them? They're there in the store. You can try them out.
That's true. The other school is closest. Next closest is Sanford. So I'm down. And then UAB.
There it is.
Right over the mountain.
Also, Alexis Schultz was named National Dodgeball Player of the Year last year.
She got the Heisman of dodgeball.
I don't think it has a name, but the Lady Zips were also the dodgeball team of the year.
Wow.
They clinched the 2024 NCDA title after achieving the largest comeback in collegiate women's dodgeball history. Can you imagine how many years and teams that is? 4?
Not a few.
3? They trailed 1-3 in the championship match.
Wow.
Akron made a spectacular comeback, winning the next 6 points for a dominant 7-3 win against rival Michigan State.
Ooh.
That's about the only thing y'all are rivals in, by the way. Sorry.
Why you got to be like that?
I just feel like it's fair. But yeah, whatever we need to. Who is the Mike Tranghese of dodgeball that's at Akron that Greg Sankey needs to bring down here to get this going in the Southeastern Conference is what I need to know.
We should.
Maybe it's Alexis Schultz. Get her down here and say, well, what are we doing? Let's figure this out.
I'm really
University
curious.
of Akron dodgeball team does have an Instagram page.
I feel like I've seen this before at not necessarily university sponsored, but I have seen these dodgeball events, like high level dodgeball events on ESPN The Ocho. You know, on August 8th when they do the Ocho on 8/8 day.
Mm-hmm.
I've seen this and it's pretty hardcore. It's co-ed. Dude, these people are like Chris Sale on the mound. I mean, they throw like curveballs and all kinds of wild stuff. So I'm kind of thinking that it'd be a pretty fun game, but you start running to some pros, you got some problems.
You got some issues. What does the NIL program look like for Akron dodgeball, you think?
Probably
pretty steep.
So that for football, they're probably at what, 2 million? Under?
So
1.5?
CC's Pizzas gift cards.
All right, so 1.5 for football, maybe $1 million. Let's say $1 million for football. So if they're $1 million for football, I'm going to say 10 grand for dodgeball.
They get a free pitcher and half of a large pizza at Zippy's Pies downtown Akron.
Is that a real place?
No, I made that up.
I'm about to say that's a good name.
I don't, but I feel like they get that.
I think Cole.
Adam Pfeiffer is your Akron women's volleyball or dodgeball head coach.
Adam Pfeiffer?
Correct.
Michelle's son?
Yeah, of course.
I think you actually have a knack for coming up with random pizza joints in random cities. And you should start a Hyde Sussel.
Throw a city.
A Hyde Sussel. A Hyde Sussel. Side hustle of you creating make-believe pizza places in random cities and selling the shirts.
Cecil's actually would be Detroit. It would be Cecil's Roof Shots Pizza.
Roof what?
Roof Shots, where Cecil Fielder used to hit the ball on the roof at the old Detroit Stadium all the time.
Love that.
And we would have different pizzas like the Alan Trammell and the Rob Deere, which would have no toppings because he struck out so much.
Oh my goodness.
He hit a lot of home runs too, but or maybe you just put a lot of one thing on
one
there.
Today.
Like maybe the Rob Deere has it's like you can't even see the cheese because there's so much sausage on it, but it has nothing else because all he could do is one thing well. I like that idea. That's good. That's about all I got for the Tigers. The Lou Whitaker, where all the toppings would just be on the left side of the pizza.
All of them?
Because he was left-handed.
Gotcha.
That's the Kirk Gibson would be the one that got away when he left the Tigers and went to the Dodgers. So I don't know what your toppings look like for that one, but that would maybe there's no sauce on that pizza. Like you lost him.
Wow. Got him.
Takes longer to deliver.
It's too bad.
Yeah, throw another city. I'll give you one.
Let's go.
Who you got?
Let's go Chatsworth, California.
I hadn't seen the tape on Chatsworth. But first thing I would say is that you're going to use your toppings to spell out words on your pizzas to get into the chat.
Wow, there you go.
Chat
See?
Rooms Pizza.
I'm telling you, he's got a gift. But are your toppings like vegan?
Oh, they're all organic and hemp.
Oh, you have hemp pizza.
Yeah.
Wow. Medicinal hemp pizza?
Very much so.
Love that.
Yep.
It puts a different take on edibles.
What is Chatsworth, California?
I don't know.
Is that even a real place?
Yeah, that is actually. I played for the Chatsworth Chiefs early in my football career.
Oh, so it's a suburb of Beverly Hills.
No, not quite. Chatsworth is a little dicey. Put it this way. We need to finish practice before the sun went down.
Did you ever go to Stony Point Park?
No. Unfamiliar.
What about Santa Susana State Park?
Maybe. I don't know.
Iverson Location Movie Ranch?
Not familiar.
They're all in Chatsworth.
There you go. Don't know those places. I lived in West Hills, but Chatsworth is where I played football.
Sounds rough.
Yeah. True. West Hills
Old
beast.
Santa Susana State Park? How many state parks does Chatsworth have?
All of them. We probably practiced in Santa Susana.
You'd be on some rocks if you did.
Well,
it'd be tough. That's how they bred you guys out there. Tough. Practice on the stones.
We did. And we went to eat at El Pollo Loco across the street.
Pizza
Get down
joint?
Practice. No, chicken joint. Hence the name, El Pollo Loco. Translation, the
Chicken
crazy
tacos.
chicken.
Got it. All
Get
right. We'll come back with more of Chetworth news next on Mac and Cube in the morning. $8:52 Friday, February 21st, Shocks 94.5. Michael Kirby tweeting into the show at Mac and Cube. You can always be a part there. Text in 205-834-9450. Call in 800-239-9569. That gets you on the Buyer's Right hotline. Michael Kirby says the Dodgeball Heisman should be called the Purple Cobra Award.
We will rock you.
Rock you.
So, also on our standard conversation, Jolly tweets in the standard. Should it be the same blueprint that Nick Saban used, or should Kalen DeBoer use a system that got him to the Natty 2 years ago? I would lean more towards the latter.
You be you.
I don't think you can just take what everybody else did and all of a sudden just continue to think that that's going to move on.
The standard can be the same, but the approach to the standard doesn't have to be the same.
Yep.
I think that's what people have kind of had a tough time with a little bit at times, is that they want it to sound and feel like the way Nick Saban ran the program. And it's not going to be that. Kalen's got to do his own thing. The expectation level in performance should be the same, but that's the same at Fresno State as it is at Auburn, as it is at Virginia, as it is at Texas A&M. The standard should always be the same. Like, you want to elevate to the point where you're the best in the sport. Everyone should hope for that and aspire to that. But the messaging to get to that point does not need to be universal.
I don't think we're going to go back to horror movies today, so I'll run through these quickly that some folks chimed in on. E. Robinson says, "The Sweet Blood of Jesus, Silence of the Lambs, and Get Out." Cool Papa Gray responds in 2 classic horror movies, Cujo and Christine. For their time, both were terrifying. I would agree. I never thought a movie could make you scared of a car. Christine was able to pull that off. And he
Hadn't
says
seen the tape.
it's a good one. And I guess Gremlins would be considered horror.
That's a
Yeah,
little too realistic
probably.
for me. I've always felt like it was a little too realistic.
Yeah.
Gremlins or Christine?
Gremlins.
Oh, okay.
Don't eat after midnight.
Mm-hmm.
Never clarified when the eating started, though. Was it 6 a.m., 7 a.m.?
I'm not sure.
Don't get
I'm
them
not
wet.
sure we need to know.
Keep them away from water. They want that. But those gizmos were cute, though. Everybody wanted one of those.
Oh, they're so cute.
Until the hose came out.
To the what?
The water hose.
Snoop didn't love
Like out back.
I was thinking you meant something else.
Aaron Hubbard responds, no Blair Witch. We mentioned it. Is real. So,
Too weird for me.
but it was real.
Super real.
think it-
Maximum real.
I think it would fall in line with horror movies,
Yeah.
which has been opened up. Trip Tepper tweets in 3 old school: The Shining, The Omen, The Exorcist. I've not seen The Omen. Shining, Exorcist, both.
those are out there. Yeah.
They're both in there. Yes, for sure. I'd agree. So we will not come back to horror movies in the final hour of the show. We will get to our Super Sofa game of the week at the end of next hour. We'll talk some college hoops coming up this weekend. We mentioned a little bit of NFL draft. On the other side, we have some Major League Baseball news, big Major League Baseball news, some NBA news, some college football and basketball news. Also, a bit of a celebration here on the show. When we return, we will tell you what that's for and explain how we plan to celebrate it. All that and more next, right here on Jocks 94.5. Welcome back into McElroy and Cubelic in the morning. Final hour of the show, 9 a.m., Friday, February 21st. Watch live on YouTube. Search Jocks 945. Some news from around the major sports leagues. Some bad news for the NBA. Spurs, big. Victor Wembanyama going to be out the rest of the year with blood clots. So scary situation, number one. Hate to see that for him. Unfortunate for the NBA, as I feel like the individuals that folks are seeking out to go watch, which is helping some viewership in some spots, this guy was one of them. One of the bright young stars in the NBA. So I think it's a pretty big hit for the NBA as far as viewership and continuing to find some younger viewers that are going to be interested. I know my 7-year-old loves watching him. We've actually found a couple of games that he's been playing so he could check him out. But that hurts the NBA. The NFL, not sure this is going to hurt viewership very much, but 9-time Pro Bowler Zach Martin's going to retire. One of the best to do it. Incredible player. Had a great career, Greg, and hate to see him hanging it up.
It's crazy when you think about the run that he had. Do you realize this? And I sent this note to the group last night. I don't know if you saw it, but anyways, he had more all-pro selections than he had career holding calls.
It's insane.
Think about that. 7 career holding calls, 9 career all-pro teams. Is that good?
I think that's suboptimal. You'll take that every time you
I think that's solid. It's crazy because I remember when he was drafted. It's like we're getting old, dude.
Yeah, there's no doubt about that.
It's a weird thing. I mean, I
don't think there's any doubt.
Like the first generation of players that were drafted, around the time that I was playing or after I was playing, like really remember these guys, covering these guys, and they're retiring now. It's like, it's not a great feeling. Not a great feeling.
That, along with the amount of athletes that we watched either right when we played, that played just before we did, who have children that are playing in college or professionally, is also a little scary.
Yes, also a problem.
Some Major League Baseball news. The New York Yankees have extended Aaron Boone. So he will continue to manage the Yanks. And
I get the sense that you're not happy about this.
No, I'm fine. I like Aaron Boone.
I don't know why people don't.
It's the Yankees. Number one, if you don't win a World Series, they think the manager should be fired.
Yeah, that's fair.
It's not going to be Joe Torre. Sorry, it's just it isn't what it is. But even bigger news from the Yankees today. A statement from managing general partner Hal Steinbrenner, who says alteration of Yankees facial hair policy is going to take place. In recent weeks, keep in mind what we're talking about here, folks. We're talking about mustaches and beards. All right? That's what we're talking about. We're talking about lamb chops.
How aggressive of a mustache?
That's what we're talking about here. We have a graphic that has been released via @Yankees on Twitter. An actual graphic for this that just contains words only. In recent weeks, I've spoken to a large number of former and current Yankees spanning several eras to elicit their perspectives on our long-standing facial hair and grooming policy. And I appreciate their earnest and varied feedback. These most recent conversations are an extension of an ongoing internal dialogue that dates back several years. One more time. We're talking about a mustache here.
Yes. Yeah. Confirm.
A beard.
Yes, a beard.
Okay. We're talking about
a beard.
Not shaving is what we're talking about here. Ultimately, the final decision rests with me. Wow, that's a hell of a humble brag. And after great consideration, we will be amending our expectations to allow our players and uniform personnel to have well-groomed beards moving forward.
We feel good about this.
It is the appropriate time to move beyond the familiar comfort of our former policy. In your face, Dad.
Soft.
I'll show you, Dad. What are we doing?
Why is it?
Do we need a graphic for that? Did we need all the serious jargon for that?
I feel like it's a good move. It's a good thing.
Here's your statement. Guys can have beards now. Thanks. Please buy tickets.
I feel like you should
donate
be happy
to our
that
NIL.
the players. You should be happy that the players can now express themselves.
I could care less either way. I think it's dumb that they've had it. I mean, go back to Don Mattingly when that was a whole issue. You got a whole Simpsons episode making fun of you.
But hang on a second. We're talking about the Yankees here.
Oh.
The Yankees.
The Yankees lose. The Yankees lose.
We're also talking about a beard.
Yeah, that matters.
We're talking about sideburns.
You guys have mailed it in.
Lamb chops.
That's the only thing that matters
Goatee.
here is the fact that you mailed it in.
We're talking about a goatee here is what we're talking about. That's a real thing.
Is it a goatee or a goatee?
Goatee. We're talking about a stash. We're talking about forgetting to shave. Full beard. Charlie Blackmon style. Did you need all those words?
Yes.
Did you need to have conversations with players from 30 years ago?
Every one of them.
I mean, it's that big a deal?
Yes.
So dumb.
I don't know why you're so mad about this.
Who is the first Yankee to show up in the lineup with facial hair?
Juan Soto.
I bet it's not Aaron Judge. He ain't going to be in there. It's not going to be him.
You mad.
Who is it? Who's going to be the guy?
Brent Gardner.
Maybe
Luis Severino.
I'll tell you who it's not going to be. It's not going to be Judge or Volpe. Will not be those.
Goldschmidt?
Yankees roster.
Yeah, Goldsmith being a newcomer, I
Goldschmidt,
could
no
see him
chance.
being like middle finger to the system.
No chance.
I don't care what y'all do.
I mean, he had one for most of his Cardinals career, so
Yeah, he
He
don't
had like
care.
a beard.
Yeah.
He don't care about the tradition.
But he doesn't have like aggressive facial
He
hair.
wasn't built by the pinstripes. I could see it being him.
What about Marcus Stroman? I could see Marcus Stroman.
I'll put my money on Verdugo though.
Oh, Verdugo's an auto. I forgot that he's on the Yankees. Gosh, he's the worst.
Probably gives less Fs than anybody in Major League Baseball.
The worst.
And gets about fewer home runs than anybody in Major League Baseball.
He's not afraid to strike out.
He is afraid to hit 300 though.
Can confirm.
But his gold chain is not going to let him fly away. That's for sure.
I'm just trying to figure out, like,
He is safe in a tornado because he is grounded with all the jewels he's got.
I'm just trying to figure out what is the rule, because I'm looking at a lot of these headshots and I do see guys with facial hair. What is the rule?
Probably that was when they were not on the field.
JT Brubaker has a beard in his headshot.
Maybe it's today. Maybe they took it yesterday.
I don't know.
So here we go.
Brent Hedrick.
Watch this.
I don't know the rules. All I know is that the Yankees, now that y'all have mailed it in, y'all are in big problems. I also think that it might be wise at this point
the
for you.
clubhouse is going wild this year.
Yeah.
There's going to be
Inmates are running the asylum.
Yes.
The Yankees clubhouse.
How many games in do we get the article that Aaron Boone has lost control of his clubhouse?
I think within 3 weeks of the season,
Easily.
when they're 2 games under 500, there will be an article written about this year by somebody in the New York media that is saying that because they allowed the players to now have facial hair, that's why they're losing.
We might get it from down in Tampa today. They play today.
I don't think they care as much about spring training, but I 100% believe that will be something written in an article at some point this year.
Can you imagine the first bat flip from a guy with a beard? There it is. The tradition's dead.
Could you imagine?
The discipline is gone. That'll be it. That'll be the one that they look at and say, it's over. Also over for you, 10 years of marriage. First off, congratulations. Happy anniversary to you today, Greg.
Thanks, Pards.
And your lovely wife.
I appreciate it.
10 years of marriage.
Yes. Decade.
Does it feel like it's been 10?
No, flies.
It goes fast.
Fast.
Goes really fast. Did you go with tin or aluminum as your anniversary gift as we studied the traditional gifts that should happen annually for anniversaries?
Tennis skull.
I told you to go with the roll of Reynolds wrap. I feel like that would have been successful.
No, I mean,
could have done that.
I'll be honest with you. So today gave my wife anniversary present this morning. Before heading to the office.
What'd you do? Wake her up so she could have her gift?
No, we're early risers, man. I was up at 5. I went and worked out, gave it to her before the kids woke up, and she's like, "I thought we weren't getting each other anything."
Oh no.
You know? And I'm like,
not the dreaded, I didn't get you one.
Yeah. I mean, I said, yeah, we did. We did agree that we weren't giving each other a gift. But you got to understand, That's not a two-way
It
street.
doesn't work that way.
It doesn't work that way. Like it's nice. It's nice to have that in mind. And I can promise you, I did not expect a gift whatsoever. Not something. I just don't think about it. I don't care. It doesn't matter to me. But I'll be darned if I would not get her something. You have to get her something.
No, I agree. We've had this discussion.
Don't expect any reciprocals.
Yeah, no, definitely not. I actually have just gotten. I don't expect anything for any holiday or celebration, birthday, any of it. It's just easier that way.
Correct.
But we've had this discussion around Christmas a few times when my wife and I had allegedly agreed to not do gifts that year.
Yes.
And it's like, if you think I'm not going to go get something, you've lost it.
Yes.
I'm not about to take that risk.
Not
I'm
worth
sure
it.
what kind of gamble you think I'm trying to live in this life, but that's not going to be the one.
Not worth it. Because it could be 4 years from now. Could be 4 years from now when it comes back up. Hey, remember our 10-year?
Mm-hmm.
You didn't get us anything? Remember that?
Yep.
No, I do. And I wasn't about to play that game.
Remember exactly what you got me.
I'm not a huge
Nothing.
fan of fire. So I'm not often one that wants to play with it. So I felt like it was very much a necessity to avoid that fate and inevitably end up in a position where I get her something, and if she's frustrated because I didn't give her a heads up, at least I've avoided death.
How did you handle the response of, oh, I didn't think we were getting each other gifts? Because that, either the words or the delivery of that can be very dangerous. What was your response? Was it, do you think you successfully kind of blew it off as too, oh, no, we didn't expect
I don't know
that.
if I wouldn't go as far as to say it was successful, but I would say that I did feel quite good.
Did you accidentally let some disappointment out?
No,
Oh, that's good.
not at all.
That's a plus.
Not at all. I had planned, a little present for her for a while. It's not anything significant. I mean, it's minimal. So it's not like a game-changing present. But I wasn't not going to have something. I felt like it was an absolute necessity to have something. And I'm glad that I went. I think I chose right. Now, whether or not it's reciprocated with a present is unnecessary. I could care less. I don't want anything. I really genuinely, when I say this, I don't know if you feel this way. Like I really, at this point of my life, I almost never expect presents because I just buy what I need.
Here's the thing, and I've tried to tell my wife this. This is a two-way street here. The one direction goes, there's not a lot of things that I need.
Yes,
maybe
correct.
nothing that I technically need.
Right.
Two, the things that I want are all pretty expensive, and I don't expect to get those things. But I'm
Really?
just saying, we've gotten to the point to where there are not many small items that I look around and say, man, I wish I had that. Wish I could get that. Like, do I want a Rolls-Royce Phantom? Yeah, I do. Am I going to get one?
What about a
No.
Lamborghini Urus?
I don't know if I'd even fit in that thing. So, I mean, I guess if Carson Beck can, or whoever stole his can, but I can't. I would rather have a Rolls-Royce. Feel like it'd be nicer to cruise around town in, throw the kids in the back.
Yeah, I ain't
with the
mad at a
doors that
Rolls
open
Royce.
backwards. Yeah, why not? I don't expect to get that. Would I
can do
like a
that.
private plane? Or you know what? Would I just like hours on a private plane out there somewhere? Yeah, I would. Don't expect to get those.
No,
This is a real thing.
not necessary.
Yeah, don't need it. Don't need that.
Wouldn't be mad if I got one, but
Sure.
certainly not the end of the world.
And honestly, sitting here thinking about it, I don't even know the other things that I want right now.
Oh, yeah, you do.
Would it be cool to have those Apple goggles? Maybe. Don't know. Might be real dumb, but we'd take a shot at it.
Give it a whirl?
Everybody says that's where the future of sports viewing is going. So let's try it out ahead of time. Tell them if they're right or wrong.
I love it.
But I don't think I'm going to get those for what, $3,800? Probably not happening.
Probably not. I am curious when you think about presents and stuff like this. Like I really have gotten to the point though, and we kind of discussed it already. Like I really don't ever need, and there's nothing in life I really need anymore. Seriously. Like everything in our life kind of goes towards raising kids. You know what I mean? Like everything. 'Cause once you have
Right.
kids,
And-
it's
but I
just
think
totally
people, but I want people to
backseat.
understand. I think you're referencing like non-necessities. Like
Correct.
we're not
correct.
talking
Yes,
about like necessities.
Yes.
but
No,
like there's
necessities are obvious.
the nice to have
right?
things are out there. There used to be a time at 25 or 30 when you had just had this long list of places you want to go,
Yeah, travel.
things you
yeah,
wanted to have,
100%.
You know, shoes, cars, clothes, whatever it was.
Right.
You know, electronics, all
Correct.
these things. It would be hard for me to sit here and give you a long list of things that I really like have a longing to own.
Dude.
I just don't think there's would I like a new iPad? Sure.
Yeah.
What is it, like 0.0001 centimeters thinner than the one I have now? Yeah, great. The RAM is X amount of processing speeds faster. If you tell me so, Tim, I don't really know if it is or not, but we would take it. We're not going to turn it down. But am I going to the store to look at it every day? I'm good. Be okay. I mean, I'm sure there's a laptop with a bigger screen out there somewhere. Fun to have. Great.
Not necessary.
Not begging
though.
my wife for it every day.
No.
Like not going to pick up an extra paper route so I can go buy it in 3 months.
Correct.
It's not. It's just
Same
not a
page.
thing.
Same page. Just not something that's needed. Not something I think about. I mean, everything that I think about is something for the kids now. You know what I mean? Like something for the kid. Like, oh, you know, it'd be really nice to get Vince a new baseball glove this year. You know what I mean? So I'm gonna go to Romeo's
Just
or
go get
wherever,
it.
over the mountain or Mountain Brook Sporting, like whatever. I'm gonna go to one of those places and get, or Dick's. I'm gonna go to one of those places and get a baseball glove.
You're just
Oh, you know what? I
dropping
really
elbows on bandwagon here. It's great.
on who?
Bandwagon. That's fine though.
I'm not familiar with bandwagon.
No, they don't watch our show in the store, so
Well, Homewood. On the
there's
jerseys
not a
last
Homewood
year.
Sporting Goods store anymore, which was a massive loss.
Well, the Homewood Sporting Goods store right there off 18th. That's where I get the names on the back of the kids' jerseys.
Not anymore. You don't.
Are they gone?
Mm-hmm.
R.I.P.
I know.
New
That
York
thing was
Pizza
there
kill
when I
'em?
was a kid, man.
New York Pizza take them out.
They're taking my city. Is what they're doing.
I don't know this place no more.
First they moved McDonald's. No more Kmart. How am I going to get my flannel shirts and cassette tapes?
Yeah, we'll see it.
It all went downhill with Ed's Pet World.
That's another one from the childhood that's going to be gone.
Mm.
I feel sorry for the people that knocked that place down because you're going to need to go in there with like some toxic chemicals to clean that thing up.
Wow.
Yeah.
All right.
Can you imagine if you wipe that building out, all the things you'll find?
No, haven't given it much thought, to be honest with
The
you.
mice and rats and scorpions and lizards and salamanders are going to come out of there.
Salamanders.
It's not a number. It's an amphibian.
What?
It's Scratch Garden, man. Get your music variety going.
Mm.
We'll be back with more after this. I just saw this tweet shared by a Major League Baseball account that I follow. Favorite George Steinbrenner story in reference to the Yankees changing their facial hair policy. Lou Piniella to George Steinbrenner, quote, Jesus Christ had long hair and a beard. Why can't we have beards and long hair? George Steinbrenner turns to Lou Piniella and says, you see that pond? Walk across that pond and you can have a beard and long hair.
Got him.
That's hilarious.
That's amazing.
What a guy.
You want to talk about is there anyone that cared less than George Steinbrenner?
No, not many. Not many.
Did you almost say George Costanza? When you said Steinbrenner? Was it close?
I think it was. Not me, but Greg, yeah.
Yeah, it felt like it.
For sure.
Mm.
Absolutely. But congratulations on 10 years again.
Preach, brah.
Glad that it went well. Glad that the gift exchange wasn't
No, it was solid. Felt good about
scary.
it. Yeah.
This is a great one, too. E. Robinson, emoji poop, exclamation point. Almost forgot I turned 45 tomorrow. Finally eclipsing the college catches total, 44. What gift do you get for that? You don't get gifts after 40.
You can.
You don't.
Shouldn't
just
expect
stop.
gifts after 40.
I don't think that there is an annual gift that you're supposed to get at 45. And the part that I took away from that, which I can relate to the most, is you definitely forget not only that it's your birthday, but what age you're turning. After about 37, that just kind of starts to go away.
Yeah.
You just don't remember that anymore.
No, you don't. That is accurate. The other thing I would say, it starts to get real weird when you start like forgetting how old you are. We talked about this a couple months ago.
Yep.
Like it's very strange when you're sitting there like, hang on, someone asks you how old you are at 35. Oh, no, hang on, I'm 36. And you mess up, you don't say it right the first time. That's a really uncomfortable feeling. And I've quickly approached that.
I actually do think, though, some people, I put myself in this category, not intentionally. I think some people do want to forget, though. Like
how old they are?
Yeah, but my wife has done it, and she's 10 years younger than I am. Well, she would say 9 years, 9 months younger than I am. And she forgets. She'll, because our kids ask us all the time. She's like, wait a second. Hold on. No. Oh, yeah. Not this. So, yeah, I think inherently we want to start forgetting how old we are.
Maybe so.
We just move away from it.
I don't love it, though.
We just move away.
I don't love that.
Why not?
I just don't like getting older. I mean, don't get me wrong. Like, I'm good with it. Like, I'm not like denying it. It's just not my favorite thing.
Nobody enjoys it.
Soup's depressing.
It is. College basketball coming up this weekend. Tomorrow you'll get Western Carolina at Samford. Bulldogs 20-8. That's 2:00 on ESPN Plus. 3:00 you'll get 16-10 Georgia at Auburn on ESPN. Number 1 Auburn 24-2 on the season. We've kind of wondered a little bit, Greg, about resting Janai Broome. Maybe not sit him the whole game, but limit his minutes. This feels like one of the last opportunities you'll have to do it. Not that Bruce has really discussed it a whole lot or anything, but I just kind of in the back of my mind, I'm sitting there thinking, all right, if you were going to do it, this may be the time that you actually looked to get him a little bit of extra rest before the postseason.
Well, you've been hinting at that for a while. So do you know something that we don't know?
I'm just saying that it feels like that would be the time that you would maybe try to do it. Right after that on ESPN.
Or you just control his minutes, though. You just control his minutes more than you just want to sit him out entirely.
I think that if you felt that was at all possible, I would want to just shut him down for a couple days.
Yeah.
But as we heard Coach Sanderson say yesterday, and I've heard this as well, I mean, the guy's living in the training room, just trying to keep that thing as healthy as possible, trying to get as close to 100% as possible on a regular basis. So the fact that he's doing that is great, but also you want him at some point in time to actually get past wherever he is right now.
Yeah.
And the only way to do that is just to rest it. I mean, it's the only way. Kentucky at Alabama, 18-8. Kentucky at Bama, 21-5. 5:00 on ESPN. And Greg, 80 minutes now. This team has not had a lead in a college basketball game.
Correct.
We've talked about the poor starts, 9-0, 12-0, the last two. Coach Sanderson told us yesterday, turnovers the best way he feels like you could avoid that. It's still Kentucky, man. Like, they're going to have talent. And Mark Pope at times has had his team play at a high level this year. I think third most 20-point wins in college basketball this season. What do you want to see? What do you feel like you need to see from Alabama against Kentucky tomorrow at 5:00?
I would just like to see a little bit improved play on the defensive end. And look, if you shoot the lights out, great. But I just want to see him play a little better defensively and be a little bit cleaner with the ball. I mean, the turnovers are something that have plagued them at times. They've been able to overcome it against average competition. When they beat Texas, they had 17 turnovers, scored 100-plus points. But against Kentucky, this is a dangerous team. And a team, frankly, that's kind of going in the wrong direction. So this will be a good test tomorrow. And I'll be hopeful that they can handle it without it being too much of an issue.
So you'll get Kentucky at Alabama, 5 o'clock tomorrow afternoon, evening. Also at 3:30 tomorrow, you'll get Florida A&M at Alabama State. Coastal is at Troy. 4 o'clock, Bethune is at Alabama A&M in men's hoops. UTEP at Jacksonville State. And then 4:30, South Alabama at Texas State. All those on ESPN+. Sunday, 1 o'clock, Temple at UAB. One of the last few home games for the Blazers on Sunday. If you want to go check out AK's group, see Lindenborg and company go before the postseason. You'll get that one Sunday here in Birmingham at 1 o'clock. So that's kind of your college basketball for the weekend. Sanford been struggling a little bit. This is a team that they can need to get. You feel pretty confident that Auburn can handle Georgia. You wonder what the lineup's going to look like. Do different players get more minutes? And then with Alabama, just finding a way to get back on track, as you stated. Put some things together, get off to a better start, limit the turnovers. But it's not a team that you can do it on cruise control by any stretch of the imagination.
At all. Yeah, this is not a team that you can just show and go. Roll the ball out there and go get it done at all. You got to be ready to play well.
Absolutely. Okay, when we come back, we mentioned things that we want, things that we desire, things that we feel like we need or should have. And there may not be many of those out there. I did find a home for sale that I feel like some folks may be interested in a portion of it, a room that it contains. I'll share that with you, give you some of the listing when we come back next on McElroy and Cubelic in the morning. 9:31, Friday, February 21st, right here on Jocks 94.5. We've talked real estate here on this show recently for different reasons. There's some folks in the news for maybe some house purchases or looking around some different things. And this came to my attention a couple of days ago, and I thought it might be something interesting to discuss here on the show. Everybody has things that they would want in their home or their home to have or dream home should come with. There is a home in Scottsdale, Arizona currently listed for just under $24 million, 23.5. I'm sure you could negotiate that down a little bit if you needed to. The home comes with a Jordan room. It has a, like the ladder that rolls around the room that you can go up and, like it used to be a library maybe. The ladder that's kind of on a swivel post that goes around the room and you can climb up the different shelving, different sections. And it is stocked with actual Jordans. A couple of recliners and a table in there as well. Apparently, this room alone is worth over $300,000. Now, Greg, you've said that this is something that kind of you used to have an affinity for, but you've moved on just a little bit.
I have.
But I would ask you this. If you could have a room of anything in your home, PG only, what would your room be for or contain if you could have it? I mean, this is something that I think at one point in my life I would look at it and say, yeah, that'd been sweet. I'd want that. I also feel like that 90% of them would never actually be worn. So you could look at it a little bit as what's the point? But this room has the Jordan logo painted up close to the ceiling on the wall. It's got an actual basketball goal, like a glass backboard in there. I don't think you're really shooting or anything.
The house itself looks like a college.
It's insane.
Yeah.
Yeah. The size of it. But so I'll follow that up with just if you could have a room to where your home it's got like a full soccer field, I believe. Like the house, like it's got a full. This is it right here. I'll give you an idea just what it looks like right there.
Oh, wow.
Oh,
yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
boy.
I mean, it was
is
like
that a soccer field?
It was like a strip
that's what
mall.
we're going to call that?
Oh no, it actually has golf flags. So
I was
that'd be great for you.
I'm about to say, I think I saw some golf flags out there.
Yeah, now you want this house.
Looks
So
like a short
TGL
game.
practice course. Okay.
But it does look like it looks like a shopping mall. Like it looks like basically half of the summit is this home with a driving range in the back. Full basketball court as well. So
7 bedrooms, 18 bathrooms.
18.
it feels like a lot. But got a little desert property there to yourself. But I'll go back to, because this is a little out of control, this whole thing.
Is it?
I feel like a little bit.
I think that's a safe assumption.
21,000 square feet. Underground basketball court, by the way.
Underground.
Okay.
That probably feels like a
Well, that's money.
not a
Okay.
super expensive undertaking.
Not
here.
like one of them cheap above ground basketball courts.
Could you build the court under the desert, please? We want to keep the temperature down. Apparently, over 60 NBA players have visited this home. Wow, that would change
The only ones that can afford it.
change the
I was about to
price
say,
a little bit there, but 325
It's a
pairs
little
of
gaudy.
Jordans,
It's a
over
little gaudy for
300,000.
me.
It's a lot, yeah. It feels
A
like
little too much house.
I just feel like we'd lose kids in there.
Well, I think
Literally
part of
have
the
no idea
problem
where they
too,
were.
you did say it was in Arizona.
It'd be hot.
You're going to have a very expensive power bill in the summer.
Jogging track all the way around the property. Now we're talking.
Summer? I think you mean in general.
Now we're talking. But if you could have any room, what would it be in your home?
Mine's pretty simple.
Bourbon room.
Bourbon room mixed with shooting range, bowling alley, and golf simulator.
We'd have a bourbon room with wood
We're going
walls
to call it.
that came
we're gonna call
straight
it-
from the distillery of barrels that had been
We're
made
gonna
by
call it-
whiskey.
We're going to call it the Drunk Irish American Bowl Out.
Breaded distillery.
Bread distillery.
Some people would have a bowling room.
say rich and dumb America.
Some people would have.
I honestly think that's exactly. If I could have any room in my house, I would have some combination. It would be some type of massive sports room. It'd be like huge 100-inch television screen in one corner. The next corner, I would have like some semblance of like a shooting range, which to me is like the most manly thing you can have in a house. Just to the right, it'd
Just
be like an
curious, though,
octagon.
hold on
Yes.
the shooting range. Let me slow you
Yes.
down here. All right.
I'm not shooting 50 cal. You're safe. All right, just relax.
But do you want to actually shoot weapons in your home, or do
Yes.
you want this to be like the Apple goggles again? They keep coming up.
That's fine. If you can have your Apple goggles shooting range, I'll have a real shooting
Like
range.
Nerf shooting.
You want a
range.
real
Right.
shooting range in your home.
Yes.
Okay.
I'd honestly go. I don't even really. I don't really like hunt at all, but I would like to have a shooting range in my house. Is that bad?
You know, soundproof
Kinda
this
feels
thing,
like
or
it.
just like wake the neighbors up?
Just
every
feels
time
like,
you feel
you know, when you got the boys coming over, like,
fly
hey,
through some rounds. Yeah.
you know, fire. All right, sounds good. So got shooting range there. Bowling
do you
alley
have the
next.
paper targets of different college
Yes.
football teams?
Yeah,
Like if Bama's playing
Correct.
Missouri that week, you fly Truman down there.
100%.
Like here we go.
That's it.
You start going
that's
to him.
exactly what
Got
it is.
Okay.
And then to the next, some type of bowling alley. I don't even bowl, but I've always bowling to me has always been more of a. I always enjoy bowling, but going to the bowling alley is not something that I really enjoy. So if you had your own,
Do you
in
have
the
to wear
comfort of your own
Do you have to
home,
wear shoes?
I wouldn't.
You just have to
I'd
go
do
to your
it.
Jordan
It's your
room
house,
and
your
then
rules,
wear
house
them.
rules.
I'll step over the line too.
I'll
Call
bowl-
foul.
bowl
I'm not
barefoot.
marking at 0.
Don't care. Yeah.
All right, that's fine by
Okay.
me. Then a bar's next to that. Then we have a golf simulator, TrackMan specific.
100%.
So got to have that. That's a lock.
All this is
So
one room.
basically, you need this 21,000 square foot home just for your room,
yeah,
is what you're
that's
telling us.
That's what I'm hearing.
There, give it there.
This could just be your room. Like you just have different wings of the things that you like in your
I'm just
quote,
like
room.
envisioning. I'm like envisioning like a circular room with like tentacles. So like shooting range, bowling alley, bar, golf simulator, movie room.
So
Yeah, you
essentially,
like
you
the
have a
old-
Dave and Buster's in your
You're the
house.
old
Yes.
Andrew's surgical suite where you sit in the middle and all the surgeries happen around it.
Don't
and
be
you
mad.
just sit there. It's like, yeah, you're like
Just
on the
because
Star
your
Trek
room,
Enterprise.
just because your dumb room with like a Peloton and a push-up machine isn't as cool as my room.
Push-up machine.
I have that now.
Machine?
I share it with a lot of monster trucks and gymnastics mats
Yeah.
and a Nerf basketball goal that gets used all day long. But yeah, I have that right this
On
second.
purpose.
The difficulty that I would have is I would want kind of part of this for myself. And I think that would be just some kind of like film cave. Like one of the coolest things about Collinsworth that I've heard is like this film setup that he has where he can dictate into like this computer and it says what he sees on every play and it like puts everything together for him. That would be pretty sweet to have that, where you could like sit in some comfortable chair and you couldn't hear anything that was happening outside the room and you just dive into tape all the time. I would be down for that.
Yeah, that would be pretty sweet. Basically, a movie room.
Then the other part would be like, do you get something that's useful for the kids now? Do you have either some sort of glorified on steroids Pop-A-Shot room, or do you have like a batting cage for the kids? Because then you could all go in there and just like take some rips in the cage, or you go in there and shoot some hoop inside and not have to worry about it. So maybe something along those lines would also be fun. But I mean, you covered the whole you had every
In all
sport in
seriousness,
yours.
like
you had a
those are
cricket
like
room
all the
in
things
yours
I would
where-
think about. If I could have any room, I just get one thing. Like one thing, I want I honestly think I would do a movie room, like with super comfortable movie chairs, dark, pitch black. But I want the ability to like turn that chair into like a desk so I could sit and watch tape and, watch whatever shows. Like I think a movie room would be my number one. If I could have anything that's realistic.
Yeah.
Who's putting a shooting range in their house?
Yes, the problem
I
is
know it happens.
The problem is when you said chairs plural. My film room that I want has one chair.
That's all you need.
No one else is
Massage
allowed to
chair.
go in there.
Yeah.
That's it.
That's what Coach
It
Saban had
seats
in his.
one.
You joke? Like the first time I went to Coach Saban's house would have been what, like 2007. I walked downstairs to his theater room, and there was one chair, recliner, just a standard recliner, with a small table next to it with a stack of cups,
Little Debbie's.
styrofoam,
Yeah.
and a Red Man Golden Blend. That was it.
That's
that was
it?
all that was in that room.
No
was
clicker?
one chair in
No
the middle.
clicker?
I'm sure there was a clicker somewhere. I'm sure it was put up somewhere, but one chair, middle of the room, movie room, projection screen, and Red Man Golden Blend with a stack of cups. That was it. And I asked somebody upstairs, like, has he ever watched anything other than tape down there? He goes, yes. The Eagles live from Melbourne.
Hell yeah.
I'm like,
Yeah,
so hang
that's
on.
on brand.
He decided that he was going to go downstairs to his basement/movie room and watch Glenn Fry, Don Henley, Joe Walsh, and Timothy Schmidt play live from Melbourne, which happens to be a really good live act because I've since looked it up. It's pretty good.
Okay.
All right.
But that's it. You haven't watched Mission Impossible down there, or
But do you think he had surround sound
Die
put
Hard
in
with a Vengeance, or
just
like
for that?
what's that?
You think that surround sound put in just for that
Probably
concert? Because he doesn't need sound any other time.
No.
No.
But you get the surround sound for that, and then if they ever do a live show again from like Hong Kong, he
Yeah.
go down there and watch that.
That's right.
All right, we'll get to everybody else's on the other side when we come back because we want to hear from you as well. What's the one room that you would want in your home? One thing that you definitely need in your life is Game Day Men's Health. If you are struggling with energy, getting poor sleep, feeling on edge, could be the effects of low testosterone, Game Day Men's Health wants to help you with this. Go to GameDayMen'sHealth.com today. You can schedule a free consultation that'll give you a free PSA test, free testosterone test, let you know where your baseline health is right now. Then they're going to present the options that they have where they can help you. And there are a lot of those, including weight loss, multiple programs they can get you on to get the extra pounds off after the holidays. Head into GameDayMen'sHealth.com right now by going to GameDayMen'sHealth.com and schedule that free consultation, holistic approach to health and wellness, and minimal upfront cost for the programs that they offer. GameDayMen'sHealth.com. We'll finish talking about the rooms, give you our Super Sofa games of the week that I guess Coach Saban would watch down there on his one recliner in his movie room. Next on McElroy and Cubelic in the morning. Welcome back in. McElroy and Cubelic in the morning, Friday, February 21st, 9:46 a.m. on Jocks 94.5.
Bill Smith Buick GMC is the GMC Dealer of the Year. They are the national champ again. 5 years in a row now. That's 8 overall or 9 overall now. They have done it. Right up there in Coleman, short drive for us. It's really nice to know that you have the very best in the country right up the road from us. It's about 30 minutes away, right up I-65, exit 310, Highway 31. Don't waste your time shopping locally when you can go up to Bill Smith and get yourself the best possible deal, like $11,000 off a GMC Sierra 1500 SLT with the 4x4 X31 off-road package. You can get it for under $55,000. It's deals like that keep coming back. 75% of their business is repeat customers because you have a better experience when you shop with Bill Smith. So take the short drive to Coleman. You'll be glad you did. You can also shop online. Have it delivered right to your driveway at BillSmithBuickGMC.com.
John, what room would you want in your home if you could have any for anything? Screening room?
I would want one, yes, but also in there would be a bunch of bookshelves with the actual movies on there. I don't want to do digital. I want to be able to take the movie out of the case. I don't think I need a projector.
So you want a Blockbuster at the house?
Yeah.
Heck yeah.
Yeah.
Jolly tweets in, there was actually a listing in Arizona that had the things GMAC is looking for. Not sure if it's been sold yet. He found the listing on YouTube, $20 million.
We are back.
It's basically a man cave mansion. Now we'll say,
let's borrow that money, pay it back in
go-karts
700 years.
Go-karts in the house? Sign me up for that.
Ooh, we got action. I didn't even think about that. Action.
How about you build a real live Mario Kart in your home?
With the blue shell?
I'm in.
People would never leave.
$130,000 golf simulator, Greg?
130,000? What kind do you get? You can get a TrackMan for like 37.
Doesn't say. Batting cage, dance studio, full gym.
He's got the
go-kart track, resort pool, shooting range.
Telling you,
man cave.
Shooting range is where it's at.
Sounds like the whole thing's just a man cave. Which
so
is
Magic
great.
Mountain in his house. Okay.
All right.
Yeah.
Heck yeah, we're back.
You have my curiosity. Now you have my attention.
Well, when you move in, Greg, make sure you call Crocker Moving Services to get you into this 9,300 square foot, $20 million man cave.
How is that only 9,300 square feet? The Crocker Moving Services is a local company owned by an Iraq War veteran, Eric Crocker. Crocker believes in hiring movers you can trust to complete full background checks and run drug tests on every single employee. These are good guys. You can trust them in your home. And if your whole home packed to move, your company headquarters moved across country, or you just want them to come rearrange a living room, they got you covered. They also do deliveries for furniture that you personally need to get to your home. So call and visit them online today for a free quote. The website's CrockerMovingServices.com. It's CrockerMovingServices.com. Support your veterans by choosing Crocker Moving Services for your next move.
Here are the timestamps on this listing's YouTube. Zen Garden, entrance living room, dining room.
Say Zen or Zen? Big difference.
I could see
would you need a garden
I
for
could
that?
see you
Actually,
having a Zen garden.
I think
actually, yes.
So you
that
can
would be
grow.
the room that
You can
would
grow
want.
Zens. Is pretty
Correct.
sweet.
Yes, that's what it. That's
Who
what it
knew you were
was.
living in Zen.
There's a trophy room, office, primary suite, hers closet, secret rooftop in closet.
Huh?
It's a kitchen, bunk room / movie theater. Is this the Playboy Mansion?
Oh, okay.
6-stall garage. What are we? Is the
That's
Pioneers?
Why do you only need 6?
Why do you have stalls in the garage?
I mean,
You
that's
riding horses to the grocery store?
I honestly don't even think Carson Beck could buy this house because he doesn't have enough stalls.
Formal living area.
Not anymore.
He doesn't have enough to fill it up.
Wow.
Resort style pool, man cave, golf simulator, batting cage, dance studio, pavilion, outdoor games, spa grounds, spa recreation lounge, yoga room, hot tub, water massage, sauna, massage parlor. This is Deshaun Watson's house. Secret room, exotic animal enclosures.
Oh boy.
Why'd you
Michael
tell me about
Jackson's
the
house.
secret room? It's supposed to be secret.
Secret shooting range.
Oh,
not
two
the
secret
public
rooms.
shooting range.
Okay.
It's the secret shooting range.
Mm.
Go-karts, full outdoor basketball courts. I got to go to 3915 on this thing just to see the go-karts. See how
That's wild.
how you got to go.
It's probably so overrated. Like it sounds good on paper, and then you do it twice. You're like, gosh, why'd I put this in my house?
I don't know.
Oh no, it's a legit go-kart track like outside of the home. Look at this, and goes through the garage. This is like being in Panama City right here.
That's insane.
Who
doesn't want this?
That's more like Myrtle Beach.
It is a little bit nicer. I think you're right.
Especially with the bunk room. And
Yes.
yeah. That reeks of Panama City, though.
That would be. I
That's
mean, that
wild.
would get old after about 3 hours, but it'd be cool for the 3 hours.
Not the first two.
No, first 2 would be amazing. Okay, Damien, what would you want in your home?
I would just have like a simulation room, golf, do some like modern warfare type stuff. Just
I
like
think-
hook it up and
So
we'll go.
once again,
think
I
that's a
hate to
good one.
continue going down this path, but just basically you want the Apple goggles is what you're telling me. It sounds-
I think what Cole's getting at-
I could just buy you those and stick you in a room.
All right, so
it sounds like
Cole,
you'd
gotta
be
be
great.
wild.
Cole obviously bought Apple stock yesterday. He's brought up the Vision goggles 17 times today. Honestly, though, I'm looking at the video over here now. I really am, at this stage of my life, I'm not sure there's a better purchase that you can make than an indoor basketball court. An indoor basketball court, while I would not get great joy out of playing real basketball, my kids would. And you want to talk about a built-in babysitter?
Right.
Oh, dude, hours.
Just roll the balls out there.
Roll the ball out
for it,
and
kid.
go. That's a pretty good
Well, the
thing.
other part
set up
too,
right
if
there.
you had a full basketball court, you could play dodgeball. You could get you could have a portable tennis net that you just rolled out in the middle. If you had like the sport court, and then all of a sudden you just get the tennis ball machine, hit your tennis balls out there. There's a lot of things you could accomplish with that.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm with you.
You want to go pickle, Damien?
It's not really my thing.
Pickleball, you could play that in there. Just get your little net over there. There you go. Pickleball all of a sudden. So maybe you would need a Bromberg's room if you had one of these mansions, Greg.
Yeah, that'd be great. Bromberg's is terrific, but I don't necessarily need a room. I can just go and see the wonderful people in Mountain Brook Village or at the Summit. Always have had a great experience when I shop at Bromberg's. You know, every single time you walk in, you're going to be taken care of. You know that every time you walk in, you're going to make sure that the people that love you, they take care of you, you're going to go and get something great for those people. Whether it's gifts, whether it's wedding bands, diamonds, watches, you name it, they have it. It's amazing all the different ways they can provide value in your life. I've bought multiple wedding gifts from there this week, actually. So it's a wonderful place to go and check them out. And those natural diamonds, man, they are awesome. Highly recommend going and checking out Natural Diamond at Bromberg. So go and see them at Mountain Brook Village and at the Summit.
All right, you got to see this golf simulator now. Look at this. What is that?
Oh yeah, it's like TGL. That's like,
Wow.
are those
You
sleep
play,
pods?
You play sitting down?
No, that's like a gaming. That's like a gaming situation.
That looks like you could run NASA out of that thing right there. Look at that.
Yeah.
It's like it has like
That's
four
actually-
chairs with.
That's like Doge headquarters.
That is. That's not the golf simulator though.
That's
No,
insane.
I think the golf simulator's in the back though. You said 100 and something on the golf simulator?
130.
That seems like
It
a
says.
lot. You can
Here's
get
your dance room.
a disco.
This is a disco ball. Here
you go.
Okay.
Batting cage.
Now we're
Oh,
talking.
that's legit.
Ooh, we
Yeah.
got it. See, now this is the room I
There's
would
your
do.
golf simulator.
Like
back there
this
in the
room
back.
right here is what I would do.
That is a sweet room.
All right, so that's a sweet room. It's almost like a little bit of a barnyard
wagon wheel
type of
chandeliers.
feel.
Who
Yeah.
doesn't want that?
I mean, it's a cool. You got a good place. It looks like you're at a beer garden
You got
table.
a gym back there.
You got a gym in the back.
Stuffed turkey.
That looks like that's like a kitchen. Yeah, I wouldn't want that. We can do
can
it
do
with
it at
that.
the kitchen.
We'll turn that into a bar. And then I got putt in there. Yeah, this
You're
is
ripping.
like standing shuffleboard. Oh, we got action.
All right, we bring it to you each and every week. It's one game that we would watch if that was the only one we had. It's the TD's Fine Furniture Super Sofa Game of the Weekend. I'm going to go 1 o'clock tomorrow. Number 8, Iowa State at number 5, Houston. Top 10 matchup in college basketball outside of the SEC, which is kind of surprising. But two teams that I think have a chance to make some noise in the tournament. So that's what I will take for my TD's Fine Furniture Super Sofa Game of the Weekend, which I wish it was on one of these sofas.
That's a good pick. I'm going to go with Tennessee at Texas A&M. Number 6 versus number 7. Two teams that are right now on the outside looking in at a 1 seed, but certainly within reach with a strong finish to the season. So Tennessee at Texas A&M, 11 o'clock here locally on ESPN.
I'm going to the SEC as well, but I'm going in our neck of the woods. Alabama taking on Kentucky and Coleman Coliseum, 5 o'clock on ESPN. And Alabama stopped this losing skid against Mark Pope and those boys in Kentucky. They got their revenge game against Vanderbilt, looking for some blood against Alabama. So I'm going Alabama, Kentucky, 5 p.m. on ESPN for my TD's Fine Furniture Super Sofa Game of the Weekend.
For me, I'm looking at Sunday. Temple comes down to Bartow Arena to take on your UAB Blazers. That game you can catch 1 o'clock on ESPNU or 12:30 over on Jocks 2 100.5. That is my TD's Fine Furniture Super Sofa Game of the Weekend. And TD's President's Day sale has been extended. Find markdowns throughout the store. They have 100,000 square feet of beautiful furniture ready to take home. Plus, get 12 months no interest financing at TD's Fine Furniture in Summerton.
All right, appreciate John Hinion joining the show today, talking some Alabama football, the documentary out on Fox Nation now. Fox Nation subscribers, anyone?
No.
Haven't met one yet.
Not yet. I mean, maybe for the documentary.
Ask somebody's grandfather for the password to that login.
Wow.
Need to get that. When we come back Monday, Paul Feinbaum, going to be with us. Richard Hendricks going to be with us on Monday to recap SEC hoops from over the weekend. We'll ask Paul about the future of college football, where he thinks it's headed next. What are these massive changes that have been proposed to actually take place maybe next season? That'll all be Monday, 7 to 10 a.m., 3-man front coming up next.